What's up, everybody? It's HBT with Straight Up Wrestling Show. I'm with my man, Christopher Burton.
What's happening? The People's Podcast. What's happening?
What's going on, guys? I see Robert Brown's in the house, and I see my man, Will Rally Sport done rolled up in here. Appreciate you guys coming on in, man. Lafayette, Indiana in the house, and all the way from England in the house, my man, Will Rally Sport, guys. Welcome to the Straight Up Wrestling Show, guys. As we come in, we about to rock this thing out, man. We about to do
Part 3.
We about to do some Hall of Fame talking, man. We about to do
three, man. Part three.
Most definitely, man.
I didn't know this thing was that big, Harry. I had no idea.
It is big, man. A lot of people in it.
I think you got another class about to go in Friday.
Yeah, man. So, guys, we'll be rolling with this thing, man, for at least probably the next couple of weeks. Probably ended up try to do a little bit in between. This Friday in between the shows, man, and get some more of this class in here. So get this thing knocked out because this is a lot. It's a lot of people that's been put in the Hall of Fame. Only thing we can really say is they need a building. They need a building. With all this stuff that's going down, they need a building, man. Put those plaques in buildings or whatever. Take a couple of the guys that's really iconic. Your Hulk Hogan's, your Ric Flairs, your Steve Austins, your Rocks, Bruno Sammartino's, people that's really made a real dent in this businth and pretty much put plaques, build plaques of them, or what, of course you got plaques, but then build models, statues, whatever you got to do, to pretty much enhance this thing, man, because, hey, it's big, man. The Hall of Fame is big, and we are here to rock this thing out, man, and talk to you guys a little bit about this Hall of Fame, man. Part 3.
If
you have to see part 1 and part 2, definitely go back and watch those. I see between those two almost, like 150 to 160 people don't watch them. But yeah, I want you guys to go back and check those out, guys. So because they're combined with this. So yeah, we on part 3. We in class of 2009, Mr. Christopher Burton. And the first person on the list, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was inducted by Vince McMahon, man. Stone Cold Steve Austin. 6-time WWE.
This happened in
go ahead.
And this happened April 4th, 2009 in Houston, Texas, in the Toyota Center.
Okay, in the Toyota Center. All right. So talk a little bit about Steve Austin, Chris, man. I'll talk to you a little bit about him, what I think about him after you go ahead and roll with it.
All right. Roll with it. Well, as far as me and you, we both go back to his days of Stunning Steve when he was basically a nobody in WCW. He was a jobber pretty much. He was a fill-in guy, if you will. So he, I didn't really care too much for him, man. When he came out with Lady Blossom, I was just like,
Glenn White's in the house. What's up, Glenn? Alma Clark in the house. Go ahead, keep rolling.
And so I didn't pretty much care for him, man, and everything. I was just like, this guy. I'm like, Steve Austin. I didn't care, and it really didn't click with me, man. And he had, some championship runs. He had the television title, which I know more of. Harry remembers the U.S. title, which I don't remember that title reign at all. And then he became a tag team specialist in the Hollywood Blondes with Brian Pillman later on.
Yep.
After they basically told Steve, from what he was saying, basically told Steve, hey, we're going to give you a championship run and we're going to, give you a big push. He's like, okay, cool. And then he comes, a couple of weeks later, he said he comes to the building to do TV, and Pillman's like, hey, you ready for this match tonight? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm getting a push. I'm getting a big title push. They're like, no, we got a tag match. He's like, what do you mean we got a tag match? He's like, oh, you don't know? They're putting us in a tag team. And that's basically how he found out he was a member of the Hollywood Blondes.
Right.
And, obviously they became good friends. They, traveled together, and they, Pillman brought matching herringbone necklaces for him. Steve still has his today. To this day, Steve still has his. He says one of the most valuable and cherished items that he has. was that necklace that Brian Pillman bought him. And then after the Hollywood Blondes, they had some tag team success. Then basically they didn't have nothing else for him. He gets hurt. And he's like, okay, well, go home and heal up. And then when he's healing up over this X amount period of time, Bischoff, everybody knows the story, Bischoff fired him sanctimoniously over the phone.
Oh, yeah.
So then he goes to ECW because him and Paul Heyman were good friends. He was at ECW cutting these promos on Hulk Hogan and all these other guys and stuff and letting all this anger and frustration out on these promos. And Paul's like, this is some good stuff, man. This is some great stuff. You know, you really can't get in the ring like you want to, but this is some good stuff. Next thing you know, he leaves ECW, goes to New York City, becomes the ringmaster, where he's managed by Ted DiBiase.
Yep.
Becomes the ringmaster. He's a technical prowess and everything. He's a technical wrestler. He does the $1 Million Dream and all this, and that really didn't get over. And then some years later comes the big King of the Ring tournament. He ends up winning it, and from that point on, Stone Cold Steve Austin was born, Austin 316, and then the rest is history.
Yeah.
So,
okay, yeah, man. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what I thought about him when he first came in. I thought he was special. When I first seen him, I was like, wow, straight up. I didn't care about him coming out with Lady Blossom or anything like that. I saw the skill that he had. It was incredible. A lot of people don't look at that now. Of course, he didn't come in and he was a Bob Backlund right off the bat. You know, he was not a Bret Hart type of person right off the bat. He could wrestle, he could brawl, he could, he had that little stunning Steve Austin type deal, which, you have to equate some of that back to like a Ric Flair, a superstar Billy Graham, or somebody like that, Austin Idol. You're like, okay, he's taking pretty much points from them. But I'm looking at him at the time he came in. This was in '89 when he came in. When I first saw him, I'm like, man, this guy's incredible. And this is before he came to the Mid-Atlantic, before he came to Jim Crockett Promotions. I saw him in Texas. And then I saw him in, I think he took a little stop in Florida, and then he came on over to the Carolinas. But I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, man, this guy's flipping incredible. And, it was like within 1 year after I seen him, I'm like, he could be the next Ric Flair. I basically said that he could be the next Ric Flair. He's that good. Year later, he's in WCW, and pretty much it was still NWA WCW at that time. But he's, like you say, he's a filler guy, but he wasn't really a jobber. Like he jobbed to the bigger guys. He jobbed to the Stings. Yeah. He jobbed to Rick Steiner and people like that. But man, everything that I saw from him was incredible. I'm like, okay. I'm looking at him. He's still a young guy. Only been in the business a few years at this time. It was getting around 92, 93. 92, 93, something like that. And the guy won the U.S., he won the TV title, the World TV title. Yeah. Had a run there. Still, when it boils down to it, he was a winner, but he still was looked at as a mid-carder. He was a high mid-carder, but he wasn't even the top mid-card guy. And then he ended up winning the U.S. championship. And I remember that. Remembered it fondly, man. But, they didn't push him like they did Sting when he was a U.S. champion. They didn't push him like Lex Luger when he was U.S. champion, or Barry Windham, and he really did not, even though he was good, and he was really good on the mic. I mean, one of his most memorable promos from me is when, Eric Bischoff got a shot. Not Eric Bischoff. Eric Watts got a shot at his title. He got on TV and he started talking about Eric Watts, how good of a football player he was. And he said, this is not football, kid. He said, this is professional wrestling. He said, I'm going to beat the hell out of you. That was, to me, that promo was the closest thing I've seen to Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was taken to where Steve Austin was going to be. But right before he had left, man, probably about 6 or 7 months, right before the Hollywood Blondes thing had been put together. And this may be one of the reasons Eric Bischoff went and put him in the Hollywood Blondes instead of letting him continue to be a solo wrestler. Ric Flair wanted to drop that belt to either him or Bobby Eaton. He named Stone Cold Steve Austin as one of the guys he wanted to drop the title to. Ric Flair believed in his talent. Eric Bischoff decided, hey, I'm not going to do that. Then next thing you know, here come the Hollywood Blondes. But as soon as I saw him now, when he had got hurt during the Hollywood Blondes, I remember when, he had got hurt. And I'm like, okay, he's out. He's going to come back in the Hollywood Blondes because, they was hot, man. They was hot. I didn't really care for the team a lot. I really didn't. I thought they was okay. It was funny. I thought they were just a couple goofs, man. And look, and I know some people will get upset with me, man, because, there's some people, even friends of mine who don't like it because I say I don't think Brian Pillman was that great of a wrestler. I thought he was pretty good, but Brian Pillman actually shot to the moon once he got with Stone Cold Steve Austin. When he got with the Hollywood Blondes, that's when he really elevated, and then he went up to WWE, and then he got into that little feud with him. He elevated even more. But Brian Pillman Jr., Stone Cold was carrying him. I mean, Stunning Steve Austin was carrying him pretty much. But he did add to that group. They was fantastic, man. It was just real, me, you, and Dre and all those. We used to be getting into that, boy, doing that at work and all that. But yeah, the guy was outstanding, man. I mean, the tag team was outstanding. But Stunning Steve Austin, he just had that world championship ability, and I already had saw that when I saw him in ECW, and then he went over, and I knew the next stop was gonna be WWE. As soon as I just shook my head, and that's one of the main things that I saw on Eric Bischoff when I said that. I was like, this is a mistake. This is before he even had the title. I was like, that's a mistake. You gave away one of the best wrestlers in the world right there. Next thing you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's like everybody caught on to it. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like you said, man, you didn't care nothing about him. I already had cared about him. That's one thing, one thing I'm happy about my experience, how long I've been watching wrestling. I see when a star comes. I can see when a person who's not a star. I mean, if you've been watching this show, the things that I've been telling Chris, and like I said, most likely I'm always right. The things what I was saying about MJF not defending his title and everything that was going to come down. It came down to that. Usually, it's not bragging or whatever, but I've been watching this business so long. I can see, I can foresee some things that's going to happen. That's if something don't happen with the wrestlers, they get injured or whatever. I can see the patterns. Yeah, see the patterns of what's going to happen. It's just like a good coach, a football coach, baseball coach, basketball coach, trainer, or whatever. You can foresee things if you look past if you look past the trees. If you hit in the forest, you can see things. But, some people don't, man. Some people are just a fan. Yep. And I remember Chris, back at that time, Chris was just a fan. And Chris was going to be looking at, and I mean, he was young, man. He was young when Stunning Steve Austin had his run in WCW. Chris was a teenager. When I first met him, he was a teenager, man. So Chris is going to be, he's not going to be looking at, hey, I was in my 20s. I was like, 30, almost 30. Chris wasn't going to be like me. I'm looking at the guy like, wow, Stunning Steve Austin. This guy, this is Jack Briscoe, man. This is Dory Funk Jr. I'm looking at this guy like that. Chris is looking at this guy like, he's not Hulk Hogan. He's not Ric Flair.
Like this dude, 85 minutes of a wrist lock, man. Come on, man.
Exactly. So
when it matches by a backslide, I'm like,
Chris is looking at the superstars, so he's not looking at that. When I look at wrestlers, man, I'm looking at the potential of what they're gonna be. That's the same thing like Warlow. I'm looking at what he's gonna be, and I know what he can be from a fan standpoint. But I'm looking at, I look at wrestlers and see what their talent can take them to. Okay, but and then he went up there and, he became Stone Cold Steve Austin. Chris already done said it. I don't have to say anything else. But I knew that was Eric Bischoff, in my opinion, that's his biggest mistake, by doing that. But Eric Bischoff never would have led him to that. He never would have got that from Steve Austin. So, hey, the right thing happened, man. It really did. All right, let's get all the comments, Mr. Christopher Bird.
All right. Lord, okay, here we go. Robert Brown in the building. Robert Brown in the building. Lafayette, Indiana in the building. What's happening, y'all?
What's up, Robert Brown?
Will Riley. Hey, Harry. Hey, Chris.
What's up, Riley?
Will Riley. Hey, Robert. Robert Brown, Will Riley Sport. What's happening, brother? Will Riley, hope you're okay. Hope you're okay on this Mania Week Hall of Fame check. Cool.
Oh yeah,
We're talking about the Hall of Fame, man. All right, guys, Will Raleigh, what year we on now, Harry? Chris, I like these streams. They're good guys. They are good guys. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. We are on 2009, and we still got a long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Glenn White, what's up, man? What's up, Glenn White? Glad you came in, brother.
Yeah, Glenn White from Facebook, man. Glenn White, We Are Wrestling page. I think it's the We Are Wrestling page. But yeah, me and Chris both just subscribe to that. So go and check him out. If you over on Facebook, guys, check him out.
All right, Alma Clark on Facebook. What's up, Alma? What's up, Harry? Taylor and Christopher Burton? How are y'all doing this afternoon? I'm doing pretty well. Resting up. Some of the allergies are kicking her rear end today, boy. They kicking her booty. As Thunderbolt Patterson say, boy, kicking your booty. And Will Raleigh. Okay, 2009. I remember that. I got this on DVD. All right. Will Raleigh. Stone Cold is my favorite wrestler ever.
All right. Okay.
Cool. In the building. Magnum. Greetings, Harry and Chris. Happy Friday Eve to y'all.
Yes. All right, Mag. What's up, man?
All right. And Will Raleigh, Chris, you sounded like Dusty Rhodes then, if you will. Thirsty Jack. What's up, Thirsty Jack? Glad you made it in, man.
We know who that is.
Yep. Butterbean should be in the Hall of Fame. Well, I think he might. Well, I think it was a word going around that he was supposed to be in this class. But I don't know what happened. There was a word going around that he might be in, so I don't know. Thirsty Jack. If Steve Austin would have stayed in WCW, do you think he'll be part of the NWO and becoming a big solo star? I don't see him. I can't see him in NWO.
He could have ended up being in the NWO if the Hollywood Blondes thing would have kept going on, because I mean they was annoying. They was over like crazy. So Eric Bischoff probably would have wanted to incorporate that in there. I do not know, because when it boils down to it, man, they would have been. Now look, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall as the Outsiders was an outstanding tag team, but they pretty much when they brought Hulk Hogan in it, even though when they brought Hulk Hogan in there, it added to the mystique of it, but it pretty much lessened the impact of Kevin Hall and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. It pretty much dropped that down. So, they could have been more popular than the Hollywood Blondes, but the Hollywood Blondes, I say, was more popular than those guys before they went out, because they was hitting on all strides, man. They really was. Everybody was behind them. Everybody loved their gimmick. It was a superstar gimmick. It would be great if we had Hollywood Blondes now and they could go after the old timey movie lady, Tony Storm. That would be great. But those guys was incredible. So he could have put him in there, but Eric Bischoff, I don't think Eric Bischoff cared for him at all. I really don't. I think it was the booking. Kevin Sullivan liked him. Ric Flair liked him.
Yep.
And they both wanted a push from him. And and Bischoff would take their ideas and then he would change things around. Like, he'll take some ideas and implement it, and certain things to change around. He always went to him for advice on things when he was on the booking committee, and then they got tired of it.
That's what he did.
But I do think he probably would have been like, no, this guy's no good or whatever. He would have thrown him away eventually. He didn't think he was worth the money. That was a big mistake. Along with a lot of other mistakes that Bischoff made.
Because you saw what he became, so
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And I wasn't shocked at all. Oh shoot. How the heck she get through? Just a moment here, man.
Okay. So guys. But Stone Cold, we already know his legacy. We know what he became. We know what he has done. One of the biggest stars in professional wrestling today, bar none, even to this day. Green Randall in the building. Are you guys excited for Andre Giant Battle Royal, Memorial Battle Royal? This sounds a little bit more exciting for this, then I am the Cody and Roman, because at least I don't know who's gonna win. You know what, man? Green, I'm really not that excited for it, and I'll tell you why. Because, in my opinion, if they're gonna do something like this, they should have it for a number one contendership for at least a title. Make it prestigious. You got Andre's name attached to it. Make it prestigious. Make it worth something. Just a trophy that you really can't carry around. You know, I mean, come on. That's, yeah. So I'm really not that excited for it, man. All right, so we're going to move on. Keep this thing moving, man. We got the next person in the Hall of Fame of class of 2009. And I wish Harry was on here, man, because this is his man we get ready to talk about here. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Okay,
who was
man.
inducted
Steamboat.
by his other man, who was inducted by your other man, Richard Flair, better known as Ric Flair.
Okay.
So Harry, this one all you, bud. This one all you.
Well, man, Steamboat. Man, Steamboat don't get if Steamboat, you know, I hate to say this because he definitely played the role that he's supposed to have played and always should have been a fan favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would get more props if he would have became a heel at some point in his career. He could have did a lot more things in his career. He probably would have took on a lot more opponents. Even put him, even put him in a higher class. Yes, the Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat feud, in my opinion, I mean, you're gonna never find a rivalry. And I'm going all the way back to the 70s, guys, not just the 1989 trilogy, which everybody saw, which are probably three of the greatest matches of all time. They are. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the Randy Savage match, in 84, 85, I think 85, 86, one or two. But it was 85. Yeah. But, outside of those two, and he did have a rivalry with Randy Savage. And, I mean, he had a big feud with Don Morocco, too. That's memorable. But, man, if he would have been a heel, he could have been taking on, people like Hulk Hogan. He could have been taking on people like Sting. He would have took on a lot of different people that would have propelled him to even higher standing. But when it boils down to it, he's still, he's one of the top 10 wrestlers of all time. There's no doubt about that. But he does not get the accolades, and people don't think about him. I don't even think about him at first when I mention a top 10 or top 15 wrestlers. I don't think about Ricky Steamboat. I have to go back and say, wait a minute now. But yeah, Ricky Steamboat was Shawn Michaels before Shawn Michaels when it boils down to it.
Oh yeah.
Ricky Steamboat was incredible, guys. And as far as tag team wrestling, it's between him and Arn Anderson. I would say between him and Arn Anderson, one of those individuals is the best tag team wrestler ever. And I'm basing this on his tag team partners and how many world championships that he won as a world tag team champion. First, he won with Paul Jones as a world tag team champion. He won with Jay Youngblood. I think he won like 6 or 7 NWA World Heavyweight Championships. Him and Paul Jones won 2 World Heavyweight Championships. Let's see. He was a World Heavyweight Champion with Dustin Rose. Him and Dustin Rose was a WCW Tag Team Champions a couple times. And he won with Shane Douglas. He even dragged him to a World Tag Team Championship. Yeah, as far as tag team wrestling, man, I've never seen anybody that, anytime if you wanted a championship, it's kind of like LL Cool J when he said, "You want an hour? Give me a hit. You want a hit? Give me an hour."
Yep.
You want a tag team championship? Go team up with Ric Flair. I mean, not Ric Flair, Rick Steamboat. And Ricky Steamboat is going to take you. He's going to be one of these guys that's going to take you to that tag team championship. It's the same thing with Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson won the World Tag Team Championship with multiple partners, but he's the only other person I can say come close to Ricky Steamboat when it comes to tag team titles, as far as tag team championships. But Ricky Steamboat, in my opinion, is the best tag team wrestler that's ever lived, and I'm putting him over Ole Anderson, who won multiple championships with other guys too. Ole Anderson and Arn, but, you know, and I'm gonna put them as a close second to Ricky Steamboat. But Ricky Steamboat, that's his legacy, in my opinion, and he's just one of these guys. He's one of these guys, kind of like Charles Barkley was there with Michael Jordan. Patrick Ewing was there with Michael Jordan. You know, those guys couldn't get they couldn't get a NBA championship because Michael Jordan. Ricky Steamboat just happened to be in that era, and he happened to be in Hulk Hogan's era too, because Hulk Hogan was up there in the WWE when he went up there. So he always had somebody that was great. I mean, and it had to be somebody that was great, somebody that's legendary, somebody that's you know, not just this Hall of Fame, but a Hall of Fame in a class by himself. Somebody that was bigger than wrestling. And you look at these guys that was ahead of him, man. They bigger than the sport when it boils down to it.
Because they say at WrestleMania 3, man. The word is at WrestleMania 3, they knew when that feud was going on between Steamboat and Savage.
Yeah,
and like I said, that's what I used to love Ricky Steamboat back then, man. Steamboat was my man, the Dragon. And when Macho Man hit him in the throat with that bell, I thought it killed him. Man.
I was real upset about that. Boy, I was a teenager, man, but I was like, wow. I didn't think Ricky Steamboat was going to be able to breathe after that, man. But he was just like, oh. I didn't think he'd be able to wrestle again out of it, man. It was flat crazy, but
and they even said
he was my favorite wrestler. He's my favorite wrestler until he came back to WCW. You know what happened.
Oh God, yeah, that was
start bringing his wife and kid out there, man. And it was good for the first time, one or two times, but he kept doing it, and people turned on him. People didn't like it.
And I know one thing that he said, man. You know, a lot of people talk about the trilogy match between him and Ric Flair.
Oh yeah,
and they always throw the Macho Man match in that WrestleMania 3.
Right.
Rightfully so. Those are four amazing matches.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And he said, okay, we know Andre and Hogan are the ones that people coming to see. They're the ones that are going to bring the people. But we know for the wrestling purists that are going to be there, we are the real draw, meaning him and Macho Man.
Yeah, they took the show. They took it. Man.
Yeah. But they understood their role. They were like, okay, we know we're gonna have the best match of the whole show.
Oh yeah.
But we know 99.9% of the people in this building came to see Hogan and Andre.
Oh yeah.
And they knew that. They knew that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I was happy for Ricky Steamboat. I really was. Randy Savage, I already knew who Randy Savage was. I knew him as Randy Poffo, you know, from, you know, back in Memphis and places like that coming up. But I never thought he would elevate to what he elevated to either. Now, you know, I didn't get to see him enough when he was younger to think that he would get to that point. But, man, for him to give Ricky Steamboat a match like that, I was just like, oh, my gosh, man.
It was so crazy because he was like the prep work that Macho Man was going through to get that match done. He was like, it was ridiculous. It was. I mean, he said they were just going over stuff for hours and hours and hours and hours. And he was like, Randy, I already know what is going to happen, Randy. I already know what's going to happen. He said Randy came in there with a notepad of about 70 different spots for the match.
Wow.
70 different things. 70 different things they were going to have to fill within about 15 to 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he was like, Randy, we only got 15 to 20 minutes. Are you kidding me? He's like, we're going to get it all in, man. We're going to get it all in because when we lock up, we're going to do this. When we do this, you're going to do that. And he went through that whole list and kept going over it and over it because Randy was a perfectionist.
Oh, yeah.
He was a perfectionist. And Steamboat said, Randy, I get it. You beat it into my brain, brother. I know what we're going to do. He's like, are you sure? You don't look like you're sure. Let's go over it one more time. And he's like, oh, my God, Randy.
Oh man, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, Steamboat was like, he was getting on my nerves, man. He was like, I'm just ready to have this match and get it over with, so you can leave me alone.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it catapulted him into the national spotlight. doing that match, and he deserved it. He deserved all that. I mean, and because he would have had to work harder if he just would have stayed in WCW, stayed in NWA, and he would have had to work a lot harder to get there. Yeah. But let's go ahead and get some more comments, man, and then get to the next Hall of Famer. But yeah, he definitely deserved to be in there. Ricky Steamboat and of course Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those guys, definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, Thirsty Jack says Steamboat had a better career in WCW than WWF title wise.
Well, he did. He did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at all the other. I mean, Chris, you got to go back to all the. You got to go back to all the title reigns that he had. Now, when I can see what Thirsty Jack's saying, when you look at Steamboat's title runs in WCW, you have to go all the way back to his Mid-Atlantic days of Jim Crockett Promotions, because that's what it was. It went from Jim Crockett Promotions, and it was still WCW Jim Crockett Promotions, and then Ted Turner bought it. So you got to go back to all those days. So it goes back a lot of years. Steamboat held that United States Heavyweight Championship. He held it 4 times. Just a second, guys. I got to get somebody off the bus.
All right. Thirsty Jack, I can see your logic on that, man. I can understand what you're saying. With the tag titles, the U.S. title at some point back in the day, the World Heavyweight title, I can see that. So I see your point. But even with all that, I gotta say one title actually outshined all that was his Intercontinental Championship run.
How can his Intercontinental Championship run outshine his United States Championship runs, Chris?
Man, look at the media market, man. The media market, man. That's what. I mean, yes, he had.
How long was it? How long was the Intercontinental? How long was he the Intercontinental Champion?
Hold on. I'll go back and find out.
I can't remember exactly how long he was. I remember when he was the champion.
Yeah. Let me look it up real quick. Let's see here. Okay, we got the 10. Okay, hold on. We got the 10 longest IC title reigns. All right. Pat Patterson was 233, Cody 236, Shelton 244, Rock 265, Mr. Perfect 280, Greg Valentine 285, Don Morocco 385, Savage 414, Pedro 425, and Honky Tonk 454. I'm looking on it. I'm not seeing it, but I'm looking.
He had it. He didn't have it that long, man.
Oh yeah,
right here.
454 days.
Well, Ric Flair had 454 days.
Wait a minute. No, Ricky Dragon Steamboat had an impressive run as a WWE Intercontinental Champion. His reign lasted for 454 days.
Oh wow!
Wait,
he was supposed to drop it.
Wait a minute. Yeah, during his reign, Steamboat engaged legendary matches against Savage. So yeah, he tied with Honky Tonk.
Wow, yeah, he was supposed to drop it. Yeah, he's supposed to. Yeah, he. All right. So he was going. I'm reading. It said he's supposed to have to drop the title to Butch Reed. They was punishing him because he went to his wife. His wife had a birth. His wife had a baby, something like that. Let's see. Says Steamboat asked WWF owner Vince McMahon for some time off to be with his wife Bunny, who was expecting the birth of their first son, Richard Jr. This did not sit well with WWF management, as he had been groomed to become a long-term champion. The decision was made by WWF to punish Steamboat by having him initially drop the title to Butch Reed, but Reed did not show up that night, so he dropped the title to the Honky Tonk Man. And I'll never forget that. I was so angry, man. I was so angry when he lost that title to Honky Tonk. But I didn't know that was the decision because everybody at that time, and everybody was touting that. Everybody was saying he was the best wrestler in WWF. So I guess I can't agree with you, Chris.
Yeah.
But as far as the multiple titles that he owned,
the multiple WCW.
Yeah, a lot of multiple titles over in WCW. Jim Crockett, JMJ, Jim Crockett Promotions. I mean JCP. But he had a lot of great title runs there. But yeah, that's very impressive. His run in his run with the Intercontinental Championship, or just his run in run up there, and at that time is big. We know how big it was. I know everybody they talk about how big the
media market.
I'm trying the Attitude Era. Everybody talks about how big that was, but when Steamboat was there, they had that rock and roll connection and all that stuff was going on. It was huge. Wrestling was huge everywhere. So
and Steamboat wasn't even that big of a star back during that time up there.
Exactly.
He wasn't
exactly
up there.
Exactly. But
he was a name, but he was small time.
Yeah, he was. And I don't know why. I think it has something to do with the way Steamboat. He doesn't have the chops on the mic. Now, if he had the charisma of Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and people like that. He didn't even have Hacksaw Jim Duggan's flair. He didn't even have a flair of Jim Duggan. So, yeah, I think that held him back. Because, look, Rick Rude was more popular than him when it boils down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Rude didn't do much talking. All Rick Rude did was get in there and shake for the women and
do a couple of poses and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, but Steamboat, he was just a good-looking guy that could wrestle. That's all it was to it. He was a good-looking guy that can wrestle. He was not, he did not, even though, like I said, he was Shawn Michaels before Shawn Michaels when it comes to wrestling style-wise, had that same kind of, a kind of smaller guy, but Steamboat had more muscle, but they was basically the same thing. But Shawn Michaels knew how to perform for people. He knew how to get on the mic. He knew how to pretty much put himself over that way. Steamboat may have done that if he was a bad guy, but I don't think so. I really don't.
Yeah.
All right, man. Go on to the next guy.
All right, man. So the next one, Harry, is one of your boys, man. One of your boys. Cowboy Bill Watts, who was inducted by good old Jim Ross.
Oh, gosh, man. Wow.
Now, should he or should he not, in your opinion, be in the Hall of Fame? Remember,
he should be in the Hall of Fame.
You can't come off the top rope. Can't come off the top rope, Harry.
I know. Well, hey, I'm not gonna just penalize him for stupid mistakes. That was the biggest goofball decision I ever seen in my life. I could not believe it when it happened. I thought it was a joke. I really thought it was a joke when he first came out there and did that. Nobody's gonna be able to come off the top rope. And Steamboat was in WCW at that time. I'm like, what about Steamboat? And you know what? Steamboat, he was coming off the middle. He was doing that flying body press off the middtle turnbuckle.
And it didn't have the same effect. It did not have the same effect.
No, it didn't. I was like, God, this is awful. Then I'm like, this thing must be serious. I thought the dude was lying. I thought he was joking around, Chris, but he was serious. And then I found out all these other boneheaded mistakes that he was that Bill Watts was adding to the company, putting out there. I'm like, wow, man. I'm like, this guy was hardcore when he was UWF, when he ran UWF, when he was the boss of UWF, when he was, mid-soft UWF, the same thing. Mid-soft. I have been watching Bill Watts stuff for a long time. He's mid-soft boss. He was no nonsense hardcore wrestling, man. I'm like, what is he doing? What is he doing? I just it wasn't just that. There was a couple other things he implemented, man. I forgot.
You get thrown over the top rope and everything, man.
Yeah, well, you get thrown over the top ropes, I think. Like I said, and
disqualified.
I think the 10-second rule, it went to 5 seconds there. You had to get back in the ring within 5 seconds. I remember that one too.
That's good, man.
Or you was disqualified. It was all kind of things. And man, it pissed people off. It ticked people off. It ticked referees off. It ticked wrestlers off. And it ticked fans off. It ticked the doggone studio fans off.
But that's bad.
Man,
that's
people
bad.
went to Ted Turner over this guy. Ted Turner didn't fire nobody really unless you had to do a lot of bad things to Ted Turner to get rid of him.
Ted Turner, yeah.
Yeah, and Ted Turner had to get rid of him. And I'm just like, what is this dude doing? He went in there. It's kind of like, okay, he said, I think what he did is, I really do. I think he left. It's kind of like a football team or somebody going from being a coach of a basketball team. Let's think about it. Okay, the guy the guy from the Washington Huskies, who won the national championship this year.
Yeah,
he's now a coach at Alabama. When it boils down to it, Alabama is still Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to go over there and say, okay, this is Nick Saban's squad. This is his team, but I'm going to change things. I'm not going to run it the same way. Things are going to be changed around here. He's going to go over there and he's going to make it his own. He's going to want to make it his own. Same thing with Bill Watts. Bill Watts came in, even though Mid-South and Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Jim Crockett Promotions, World Championship Wrestling, they was basically the same thing. But he went over there and said, I'm gonna implement some things to make it my own. And I'm just like, what in the world is he doing? It wasn't about him, man. I'm like, you didn't do this in Mid-South. You didn't say, hey, 5 seconds, you go over the top rope, 5 seconds, yeah, it's a disqualification. You didn't say you can't come off the top turnbuckle or top rope there. So, and people was getting disqualified. I remember that people was getting disqualified. They came off the top rope. They was used to wrestling that way. Yep. Bobby Eaton, I remember that. Midnight Express. But Jim Cornette just had a fit. Jim Cornette couldn't believe it because he had worked with Bill Watts previously. They had worked with each other for years. He couldn't believe it. So yeah, when I remember he did that Alabama Jam off there, but boom, disqualification. I remember that. So yeah, but yeah, oh man, all I can say, look, he did a lot for wrestling. If it wasn't for him, man, we wouldn't have never had UWF, which is great, outstanding, and Mid-South was outstanding. We wouldn't have had Junkyard Dog. We never would have had
exactly.
We wouldn't have had Hacksaw Butch Reed. We wouldn't have had Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Those guys. Bill Watts pretty much made those guys. So Magnum TA. We wouldn't have had Magnum TA if it wasn't for Bill Watts. So I mean, you got to give him credit for that. And he was an outstanding wressler at one time. Back in the 60s, early 70s, he was an outstanding wrestler. So I got to give him credit for that. So yeah, but look, I was upset. I will say this: I was upset when he got in, Chris. At the time he got in, I didn't want him in because it was too fresh in my mind what he did to WCW. Too fresh in my mind.
Still.
Yeah, still. I mean, even though that was 2009. That was 15 years later. Yeah, it was still fresh in my mind, man. I remember that.
Wow.
Oh man, I was still upset. And look,
let it go, boy. Let it go.
I was upset, and he's the first promoter that had a black man as Booker. Ernie Ladd. Ernie Ladd was his Booker. And he promoted Ernie Ladd to Booker, and Ernie Ladd was Booker for like 3 or 4 years in Mid-South. And nobody, and there was other promoters who had called him and said, "Man, you can't be doing that and all that." So I give him credit for that. I mean, so he made a lot of landmark decisions. He did a lot of landmark things that a lot of people didn't do. And Ron Simmons, he the one who made Ron Simmons the world champion. He put that title on Ron Simmons. He said, This is the way the sports are in America. He said it's time for us to have a black world champion. And so it was somebody. It might be on Glenn White's channel, We Are Wrestling or whatever. But it's either him or Justin Durr's channel. They were saying, and they had him up there talking about Bill Watts, and they said for supposedly a racist, because he's been called a racist, for a racist promoter. This guy certainly has done a lot of things for black wrestlers. He did a lot. He did a lot. But like I say, all you got to do is say one word, Chris, or assume to have said one word. They consider you a racist, man. Doesn't matter all the other things that you did. All you have to be accused of is one word, man, and boom, you're racist. It don't matter whatever you did. So, but he deserved to be in, man. Hey. Good talk, man. Good talk.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, bro.
All right, man. So we got another comment. Madden World, Madden
Man,
World.
world, what's up, man?
He said we need Jericho, Chris Jericho in the Hall of Fame. We
Not
might
right
see
now,
it,
man.
man. We might see it at some point, but not
I'm
right
sure
now.
we're gonna see it. Man, world 207, but I think it's gonna be 2 or 3 years after he retires. And then we'll see it. I don't think he's gonna go in right after he retired. Now, if he never would have went to AEW, he would. But that AEW thing is gonna stop him unless he comes back to WWE right before he retires. He can probably work with them another year or so, and then sit down and be on the commentary team. He probably could get. He probably would get. He probably be inducted while he's working for WWE. I don't know
Exactly.
but he has an open door. I'm pretty sure they'll accept him back.
Yeah, they definitely would. All right, so next on the list, ring announcer, the Fink, Howard Finkel.
Oh, snap, man.
Inducted by Mean Gene Okerlund.
I don't think he should be in, man.
Howard Finkel?
Not at that time, Chris. At that time, I think he probably, I do think he deserved to get in, but later on, at that time, I remember he got in too, and I was just like, huh? Same thing. I was the same way I was about, not the same way I was about Bill Watts, because he didn't do those crazy things there. Yeah. But Howard Finkel, man, I'm just like, But man, eventually, of course, he was gonna get in. So yeah, he deserved to get in, man. What's your thoughts on it?
I think he deserved to get in, man, because it was a few years later he ended up dying.
Yeah, he did. And
a few years later he ended up dying. So it was a good. I mean, I think it was like 6 or 7 years later.
Yeah, I know it was close to 2009 when he, and a little bit later after he had passed. And believe me, I thought about what I was thinking when they put him in. I really did. I said, well, and then I was like, I'm happy they put him in.
He was allowed to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man. But you got to think he called some of the most iconic matches, man.
Oh yeah, he did.
I mean, I think he did when Bob Backlund won the title, when Sheik won the title, Hogan won the title, Superstar. Yeah, I mean that man done did some impressive ring announcing, man. And
he did. Yeah, he did, man. He really did. I don't know, man. For some reason, every time I listen to him back then, and maybe because Howard Cosell was around at that time.
Oh my God!
Hey, look! I compared him to Howard Cosell.
What the world?
I did, man. That was just me, man. I don't know why I used to do things like that. If you was somebody that you was in the same field as somebody else, I would compare you, and if you wasn't as good, I would discredit you. I would discredit you, even if it was a different field. Like say he was, of course he was on the same. He was doing the same thing Howard Cosell was doing. Howard Cosell just did all the sports. He did football. He did boxing. He did a lot of different things. It's just that Howard Finkel, I'm like, and so yeah, I'm listening to him. I'm like, this guy's good. I like listening to him, but Howard Cosell, man, hey. The gall of you having a name like
but they call him the dean of WWE announcing, man. Over 5 decades, dude. 5 decades.
I know, man. Incredible. Yeah, 5 decades. He definitely deserved to be in there.
That man done called some of the biggest, like you said, Superstar. He called Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Triple H. He called some major matches, man.
Incredible career. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And one thing, and I don't know, another thing too, I wanted him to be as popular as Howard Cosell. All right. I wanted him, because he wasn't as popular as Howard Cosell, that kind of made me mad too. Because wrestling was my favorite thing in the world. Man. This guy should be more popular than Howard Cosell. He wasn't. It pissed me off.
And then he was up there dancing. I don't know. He was up there dancing with Hillbilly Jim and up there with the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think it's just my thinking as a child. Because when I first seen him, I was on the 10. I was like 7, 8 years old when I first started hearing him. And then I was a teenager in the 80s when he was still doing it, in the 80s and the mid 80s and stuff. And they really got big and all that. Like Howard Finkel now a lot of people know him. but still my mindset was there when he was when Superstar Billy Graham won the title, when Bob Backlund was the champion. He used to call all his matches and everything. My mindset was still there. It's like, man, why you not bigger than Howard Cosell? Why you not bigger than the Greek, Jimmy the Greek, Jimmy the Greek. Why you not as big as these guys? And I'm comparing them to NFL guys like that, man. So,
he died 24 years ago. Boy, it's been 24 years ago. He died in 2020.
2000. Okay, so he died what? Oh, he died before that.
No, 2020. Yeah, 2020.
Oh, he died in 2020. Okay. So he died 16. About 11, 12? Well, a lot of years later. 11 years later.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, 11 years later. Okay. Yeah, so yeah.
All right, man. But let me grab something for Hunter. But yeah, we can go on to the next one, and I'll jump right in.
All right.
Let me grab something for him.
The next one is my man that Harry Love. Boy, Harry Love. I'm gonna put it. Matter of fact, he got inducted by the Honky Tonk Man. I'm gonna put his picture.
Oh boy, probably somebody I can't stand, boy. Somebody I can't stand.
Boy, Harry love him to death, boy.
Man,
Harry
you crazy? If Honky Tonk y'all gonna induct him, oh gosh, oh boy. You talk about him, I'll be right back, man. Wow.
The next inductee to the Hall of Fame, you saw him himself, the Birdman, Coco Beware. The man himself, y'all. Coco Beware. So guys, inducted by the Honky Tonk Man himself, man. Coco Beware, man. He was a good talent. Had a hell of a finishing move. That Brainbuster was a hell of a finishing move. But Coco just couldn't get that push that I felt he deserved. He just couldn't get it, man. He just couldn't get that push that I felt he deserved. He just couldn't get it, man. I don't know why. It just didn't work. Even though he was a heck of a talent, great on the mic. He was great on the mic. And 9 times out of 10, you saw him as a sidekick to Hogan. You saw him to a sidekick. You didn't necessarily see him, but one thing that really got him over was that bird, Frankie. His bird, Frankie. And I ain't gonna lie, I wanted a parrot. I wanted a parrot just like Frankie, man. When I was growing up, I had to have one of those birds, man. I had to. I wanted it so bad. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to have me this bird. I got to have a bird like that. But he never did really get any title shots, man. That's one thing I hated. He never really got a title shot. And he got to the point where he became a jobber. Basically, you bringing in younger talent, more seasoned talent from out of the company and bringing them in. And he became a litmus test, oh, okay, we ain't got nobody for him. Put him in the ring with Coco. You want an easy night? Put him in the ring with Coco. That's what they were doing. And it wasn't right. By no means was it right at all. But that's what they were doing to him. They were putting him in the ring with Coco. But he was an exceptional talent. Now, there's a story on a podcast on Jacob's One that him and Coco got into it back in 90.
Oh, yeah.
And it basically, the first tombstone that was ever performed was on Coco Beware from The Undertaker. Right. And so he basically got Coco up, tombstoned him, boom. Coco caught him in the back of they go back behind after the match is over. Coco catches him hallway. He's like, hey, man, look, if a guy's going to give you his body, you need to take care of him. You hurt my neck, bro. You hurt my neck. And Taker said, well, I apologize like much as I can every day for however long I could. And he was like, and Taker pretty much got tired of him. Like, look here, man, I don't apologize to you so much. Now, if you still got a problem with it, we can go out in the back of the building and we can handle this now if you got a problem with it. Because I'm tired of apologizing. But he understood. But Taker understood. Okay, I'm gonna have to modify this move so it won't happen again. And
But
that's
Taker
what he
almost broke that Joker neck.
did. He did. He folded, man. When Coco took it, he folded. Boy, I was like,
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Like, man, I was like, and I know you were loving it, Harry. You were loving it, boy. You were probably going crazy. But put him out. Don't let him get
Man, look, man. I understand what Coco Beware was saying. I can tell you that straight up. Look,
but Harry was loving it, boy. Harry
look, man. I love me Mark Callis, boy. even though
Harry probably got that segment on tape somewhere on rewind, watching it right now, boy.
even though he became the Undertaker. And I remember when he hit that move, man. I remember we wrestled Coco Beware. I'm like, that don't look good. I'm like, that don't look good. But you know what, Coco, man, hey, man, I got to give it to him. His conditioning and everything. His working out, everything. Yeah. It pretty much it helped him out. It helped him out, and it preserved.
If it was average dude, boy, they'd still be laid up in the hospital, boy.
Heck yeah. But yeah, so big ups to that. And look, Undertaker, man, I know he was sincere. He was sincere in his apology. He was sincere in his apology. But I can understand Coco continue to come at him. But yeah, all you can really do is apologize and say, man, I'm sorry. Let it go on. But Undertaker was right in saying, hey, if you still got a problem with it, we just take it on the outside, and we can settle it that way. Because even though he really didn't want to do that, he was just like, what else can I do, man? What else can I do?
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
you can't go back in the time and erase what you did. But
exactly. Even though Harry loved it, boy. Harry loved it. Boy.
Hey, say the truth, man. I was just like, is this gonna take him out, man? Look, at that time. I'm talking about at that time. And even though it didn't really even come out at that time, I felt that I was like, man, this guy look like he's hurt, But Coco Beware got up and walked out of the ring. So I'm like, I guess he's okay, But when it first happened, man, I'm looking at it, I'm like, huh? And that's one person I used to make sure that it's kind of like the channel surfing. When I knew Undertaker, one thing I did like about the WWE, they used to tell you who was coming up next. When Undertaker would wrestle, I always would watch his wrestling matches. I always watch Rick Martel. I always watch Ric Flair. Certain people in WWE I would watch. Some people I wouldn't. I would always catch Hulk Hogan because I always wanted to see what stupid thing he would say. In my opinion, a lot of things he said was dumb, even though he got over with the people. I'm like, why in the world people keep listening to this? But Coco Beware, man, look, Coco Beware was incredible. Look, as far as his talent goes, he was incredible. He was incredible in Memphis. That's another black wrestler that Bill Watts put over. That Bill Watts made incredible star. Him and Lloyd Austin as tag team champions was legendary over in Bill Watts' territory in Mid-South. They was legendary. So I will give him credit for that. But man, yeah, Coco Beware. I did what Chris was saying. He never could get over, and then he got to the point where anytime there was an easy match needed to be made or put some younger guy over or something like that, they would go with Coco Beware. I didn't like that, and that's one of the things I didn't like. I started having a lot of disrespect for him, and it wasn't Coco's fault. I'm like, he's being put out there, he's getting beat. But this one, kayfabe was going on, guys. We really didn't know that it was, scripted. But he was losing those matches. I didn't like it. And I'm like, this guy's becoming another SD Jones, and I could not stand that. I'm just like, running out there with a bird. And the whole thing about it is this, though, Chris. It didn't matter when it boils down. It didn't matter to the fans. The fans loved that dude to death. They loved him, man. So hey, yeah. He deserved to be in, man. He deserved to be in, straight up.
Yeah. He deserved to be in, man.
It didn't bother me at all when they put him in. I said, that's crazy. But yeah, that's pretty good, man. Go on, roll with the next boy. Let's get some comments, man, and then roll to the next person.
We're gonna get some of these comments. All right, Jake Campbell, what's up, man? Glad you made it
in. He
Jake? Said Insane Clown Posse should be in the Hall of Fame. Whoop whoop with the oddities. No, I'm sorry, Jake. No.
Jake, I don't know all about that, man. Look.
Jake, no, I understand what you're saying. That's your opinion. That's how you feel. But Jake,
Jake, look, I remember the Insane Posse mostly for their little run. I remember they was in WWE, but I do remember when they was over in WCW. It was just flat out crazy, Jake. I'm not saying that they don't have a place. I'm not going to say they don't have a place in the Hall of Fame. But one thing about the Insane Clown Posse, you won't forget them. That's all I can really say. You would never forget them. As far as their run in wrestling or in music, you won't forget who these guys are. So Jake Campbell, we'll see what comes down the pike, man. Maybe they'll get in one day. But, back in 2009, of course, they were still active. They wasn't – I mean, they definitely wasn't going into the Hall of Fame at that time.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see if something comes in down the pike, and then we'll make our decision at that time if they should be in or not. But right now, I would say no. But
no.
later on down the road, maybe they'll get in. All right.
Jake Campbell also says, I like your shirt, Harry. It looks great on you, brother.
Oh, I appreciate that, Jake. Definitely appreciate it, man.
All right. Alma Clark says, I would love to see Iceman King Parsons in the Hall of Fame someday.
Yeah. And speaking of the shirt right here, man, I brought this shirt from Australia, Chris. This came from Australia years ago. Yeah, years ago. And I wear it every now and then. Very warm, man. It's windy out there, so I went ahead and put it on. I was like, it's chilly in this house, and I didn't want to turn on the heat too high or anything like that. All right, Alma. What's going on?
Almost said, I would love to see Iceman King Parsons in the Hall of Fame someday. In the heydays of the world-class UWF and USWA Memphis, he was the most underrated wrestler at that time, B90. Iceman King Parsons. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Iceman King Parsons. Yeah, I can see that. I can see Iceman King Parsons making it in. But at first I was about to say no, because I thought, who I thought she was talking about? I thought she said Too Cold. I thought it was Too Cold. Anytime I think about Iceman King Parsons, anytime I think about Too Cold Scorpio. So that's who I thought she was talking about at first, and I'm like, no. But Iceman King Parsons. Yeah, I can see him making it in. Alma. He definitely has a huge legacy. He was around for a good while. Never really won any. Well, he won some, major regional championships, but never won
nothing major.
Nothing major, like as far as in like WCW or WCW or WWE or AWA World Heavyweight Championship. If you want to we can add that in there. Or he wasn't in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, the United States champion or anything like that. But he was great. He was great. He had a real good run in Jim Crockett Promotions. I remember that. In USWA, he did real good there. He was real good in Memphis. So a lot of good things from not Iceman King Parsons, not no Coco Beware. But I mean not Coco Beware, but I'm about to say Too Cold. But Iceman King Parsons, definitely deserve to be in one day. Hopefully he'll be in one day.
All right, Jack Campbell says Mick Foley could be inducted 4 times, like when he did that Royal Rumble where he came out as all 4 characters in one match. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious, Jake. That would be very hilarious if they did that. Jake Campbell,
he's something special, man.
Teddy Long needs to come back to set up more tag matches. Hollow player, still one of my favorites.
Oh, heck yeah.
And speaking of Teddy Long, guys, go back and check out our interview with Teddy Long. In Atlanta, Georgia, we were at Deep South Pro Wrestling. A very prominent independent down in Atlanta, Georgia Independent Wrestling Corporation. And Teddy, we got to interview the Hall of Famer himself, Teddy Long. And
we had to sit down with him, guys, and we had to sit down with him, and we had an interview with him. Pretty good interview, man. Pretty good interview, guys. Check it out.
Go back and check it out, man.
Oh yeah.
But next on the list, guys. Harry. Some more of your people, getting put in, Harry. But they getting all your folk in there, Harry. They got the funky boys. The funky boys, Terry and Dory, them funky boys.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah, the Funk Brothers. Yeah.
And they were inducted by the American Dream himself, Dusty Rhodes.
Well, I don't have no problem with that, Christopher Burton.
I know you don't.
Man, Terry and Dory Funk carried on their father's legacy. One thing about Dory Funk Sr., very rugged guy, no nonsense guy. Gunther type. What's that guy, man? He wrestled last night. The Murder
Lance
Hawk
Archer.
Lance
Lance
Archer,
Archer.
type guy, just murderous puncher, just beat you down. That's how Dory Funk Sr. was. Dory Funk Jr. came out and was the scientific guy and could brawl too, but basically scientific. Terry Funk could wrestle, but Terry Funk was big, tough, rugged wrestler like his dad. Just rugged. Just put it like this. That 70s, that's late 60s, 70s, 80s Terry Funk, 90s Terry Funk, led into that late 90s to 2000s Terry Funk. That's that hardcore guy. He was already a hardcore guy, but became that hardcore guy that would do anything, that will fight you through fire, that will pretty much gonna fight you through barbed wire. He was that type of guy. It's just that those opportunities didn't present themselves back in the day, but he was already set himself up for that. He was just the most rugged Funk it was, man. He was something. He was
crazy,
something.
boy.
I don't think his dad would ever did anything like that. I know his brother wouldn't, but Terry did that to prolong his career. Dory, great wrestler. Dory's style really was not for the 90s. It was not. Not even for the late 80s. It wasn't. He was Dory Funk Jr. He went as he got older, and he had the world. He was NWA world champion for four and a half years. Straight. He was incredible. But Dory Funk Jr., as he got older, in the 70s, like I say, he was more of a brawler and scientific and brawler. He was like Ric Flair. He'd get up, he can brawl. Then he can go technical on you, and then brawl again. Get into the 80s, he became a Mike Rotunda type wrestler. And that's why all he was. He would put you in those holes and just spin you around, put you in that spinning toe hole, do all those kind of moves. Continue to do that. And that's what he was. And he was years away from what he was previously, but still great. And as far as the Funk Brothers, great tag team, man. Outstanding tag team. Could have been another Briscoe brother type tag team. Briscoe brothers, I think, was better. Could have been like the Anderson brothers, but they didn't stay together long because I think both of those guys had, and I think their dad too had, he had aspirations for both of them to be champions, singles champions. And so they pretty much separated and did their own thing. But, Dory was in before Terry, and Dory was already world champion. But Terry came in, and then after Dory lost that title, him and Terry won championships all around the country. Those guys, like I said, it was incredible. But yeah, definitely, man, no problem at all. You talk about Texas wrestling, the Funk Brothers, straight up.
Well, now we're getting ready to go some more Texas wrestling, Harry.
Okay.
The Von Erichs.
Okay,
now,
man.
You want to talk about Texas wrestling? Now they were bigger than the doggone Funks.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, man, heck yeah. And look, wrestling family, who can we say bigger than them? And look, I'm not even gonna sit here and say the Bloodline is bigger than them. The Bloodline is a legacy of a whole, big conglomerate. I'm talking about, kinfolk. I'm talking, I'm talking about not immediate family. I'm talking about family. Just like Taylors, a bunch of Taylors, like Burton, the Burton Warlow family. Chris's family. The Von Erichs is just that name. The name is so big. The name came so big out of just Texas. It just pretty much just covered the whole wrestling world.
Yep.
Everybody knew who they was even before they even got out of Texas wrestling. Even before they even left Texas. They, that name was just so big, the Von Erich brothers. It's just incredible. It's hard to beat that. Even though we had, the Bloodline, you got the Briscoe brothers, you got the Funk brothers, you got the Andersons. None of those names are bigger than the Von Erichs. And like I say, and this is before the only one that really had success outside of Texas. That was Kerry.
Yeah, Kerry. Yeah,
on up to WWE. I mean, Kevin did for a little bit, but Kevin got involved with his family. Man, he went outside, Texas a little while. His dad really didn't care for that too much, but he had to do it. And he was doing some things out in Arizona, Portland, and things like that, and getting a little bit name for him. He was in the Mid-Atlantic. He came to Mid-Atlantic. He came to Georgia. He did some things. and he had a nice little run, but he ended back up in Texas, man. He married that girl. And that was his first woman now. He married her, and he's still with her, man. And I had children with her and everything like that. Kevin pretty much put everything to a side. And I mean, and Kerry just, he took it to another level. It just, Kerry would, man, goodness sake.
Right back, Harry.
All right, man. Yeah. But Kerry, he took that name to another level. And it just, and the whole thing about it, when he went to the WWE, everybody already knew who they were. Everybody knew who they were. But he went up there. He wasn't 100%. He wasn't him. He wasn't 100% himself because hey, he had to wear that boot and everything. He lost his foot, bottom half of his leg in that accident, in that motorcycle accident. Nobody knew about all that. But hey, he was able to wrestle through that. He wrestled through the pain. He did it with a lot of drugs and everything, man. But wow. Can you imagine if David, who was the better wrestler, when it boiled down to it, out of all of them, Kevin was the better athlete. There's no ins and buts about that. Kerry was the one who had all the looks. He had all the, everything that you want to see in a wrestler. Kerry had that. If those guys and all those tragedies wouldn't have happened, and they would have ended up in the WWE or WCW, how big they would have been. Either one, if they would have went to WCW, which was a lower wrestling, as far as popularity than of WWE, can you imagine how big the Von Erichs would have been if they would have got on the Superstation? Like they only wrestled on the Superstation only a few times, and then like I say, Kerry ended up in the WWE, and he was in the Intercontinental Champion, and now they made a movie off of it, and off of that, off of the family. But it's a lot of people came out of that theater, and they was like, wow, I did not realize they was that big, or they was that big outside of Texas. But we was like, yeah, man. I mean, everybody in the world, if you watch wrestling, even if you wasn't a wrestling fan, you heard the name somewhere. But man, these guys definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm so happy that they are in the Hall of Fame. And Kevin gets to carry on his family's legacy with his sons and his daughter, who owns a wrestling company. I don't think his sons will ever be what they were. His sons will never elevate to that. I don't think. I've seen them, and I think they're talented, but I don't think they will ever get that push or ever try to push themselves to that level. I think Kevin pretty much taught those kids that, hey, this is for fun. You go in this and you do it for fun. Hey, if you like it, do it for fun. Don't take it as serious as we did. And I definitely think that is happening. Those guys are not taking it as serious as the brothers did. They just as their uncles and their father, they're not doing it as they're not doing it to that level. But who knows what's going to happen here in the future? But like I said, his daughter, one of his daughters own she's a promoter of a wrestling company too. So we'll see how that pans out, man. How all that pans out. But yeah, the Von Erichs is something special. But let me get some comments here while Chris is still out, and hopefully he gets back in and gets to join in a little bit about the Von Erichs before we roll over to the next one, because the next one I'm definitely going to have him. But we'll be on for a while here with this guys. With this thing here, man, with this Hall of Fame thing, most definitely. But let me see where I cannot remember where Chris ended off with the comments, so I'm gonna go to something that I can remember. Okay, Jake Campbell. Okay, yeah, Jake Campbell. Teddy Long needs to come back to set up more tag team matches. Holla player, still one of my favorites. Okay, let me go over here. All right, Perry Carey. What's up, Perry? My man Perry Carey in the house says, sup, Harry and Chris. All right, Facebook user. Okay, that must be my girl, Alma Clark. Says, now you're talking my language. Von Erich brothers. Saw them wrestle back in 1979. Oh, yeah. You from Texas. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true, Alma. Definitely, man. I know you enjoyed it. My uncle, his kids, and I went to the Sportatorium one Friday night, and they wrestled. Fell in love with them. If David hadn't died, he would have been the Mongol. That Vince had become. Probably so. Pretty much. He would have been the mogul that Vince had become, and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan wouldn't be wouldn't be the head guys they would have. Hey, look, David Von Erich, man, he was scheduled. He was scheduled to beat Rick. He was scheduled to take the title off Rick, and I believe he would have. It looked like he was going to do it. You know, hey, he was scary. He was scary. I loved him. I love that tall Joker boy. He had it. He had it. As far as a wrestler, very talented. You know, he pretty much took the lead, even though Kevin was the older brother, but David had it. David had it. He had the mic work. He had everything. All right, Perry, you doing the live stream tonight, Harry? Probably so. I plan on it. Let me see. I'm not sure. I might do TNA tonight, Perry. I might do TNA. I'm thinking about that. Unless Chris has something else planned. I know Chris can't do TNA unless we end up coming up and do something else. Something happens, some kind of news happen or whatever. But I probably will do TNA. Perry, it says for TNA. Yes, definitely. So yeah, we'll see about that, man. We will see about that. You know, I do want to keep up with TNA, but like I said, Chris can't do TNA, guys. Even though he's home for the night. Maybe we'll do Bray Wyatt. I don't know if Chris want to do Bray Wyatt because he watched it. I need to watch it, so I might go ahead and watch Bray Wyatt instead of doing TNA. I might do a split screen, watch TNA and watch Bray Wyatt. I don't know. I know one of my TVs in here is a split screen, a couple of probably, but yeah, I might do that. But yeah, so yeah, the Von Erich brothers, man, they something else. All right, if Chris here, we can. Anything goes talk, anything, Harry. Not right now, man. We doing this Hall of Fame thing, Perry. But Chris will be coming back in just a moment. But yeah, Chris is unless you're talking about tonight. Yeah, movies, wrestling, no, most definitely. I do want to have a movie talk about wrestling. I want to have a movie talk and not talk about movies that wrestling movies. I want to do something like what actors could have been, what actors out here that probably could have been wrestlers, man, and where do you think they would have been? Where they would have went as wrestlers? Hey, think about it, man. Really, there's some actors out here who could have been great wrestlers. All right, Black Rain 7920. I still need to see that movie about them. Okay. It's streaming now. Black Rain 7920. I don't know which one is streaming it, which app is streaming it, but it's streaming now. All right, I'm probably gonna watch it again. Perry Carey, Harry is your guy gonna be here also from last night. Ray, I'm not sure. Ray Underwood, I'm not sure if he wants to come on tonight. If I come on tonight and do TNA, I definitely will invite him on, man.
All right, I'm back, man. I'm back.
Right.
So where we at, man? Where we at?
I was still talking about the Von Erichs, man, and I'm going through comments and everything like that. But Alma Clark says she saw him in 1979 in the Sportatorium.
Oh, wow.
Nice. And everything, man. And she talking about David. If David would have kept living, he would have been the mogul like Vince McMahon and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan probably wouldn't have been what they are now. But yeah, he was scheduled actually to take that title off Ric Flair. And one thing about him, David Von Erich, man, he was the one. He surpassed his brother. He was the one who could talk on the mic. Not just wrestle. He could talk on the mic and everything. He had everything that Kevin didn't have. Kevin could not talk on that mic at all. Pretty much Kevin had that Brad Armstrong disease, man.
He was good in the ring, but couldn't do nothing else.
Exactly. All right. Perry Carey says, Ray, yeah. Oh, yeah, Ray. Yeah, Ray Underwood. All right, Jason Dunn says, Chris got some pie, laugh out loud. I bet Chris wish he did have some pie, boy.
Yeah, I did. I wish I did have some, boy.
Goodness sake. All right, Jason Dunn says, sup, guys? Good afternoon. We still make the wake-up call, make the wake-up list. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Jason? Okay. Yeah. All right, man. But yeah, we on the next ones, Chris. I pretty much said everything needs to be said about the Von Erichs, man. I went through a whole spiel on the Von Erichs. Let's go. Who's next?
All right, so now that was wrapped up the class of 2009. Now we're going through the class of 2010.
Okay, 2010. Let me get over here to 2010.
This happened March 27, 2010 in Phoenix, Arizona at Dodge Theater.
Okay.
So just to let you know who we have in this class, we had Harry. Once again, we got some more your folk, Harry.
Don't you say it.
Matter of fact, all these your folk, boy.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. But we got the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase,
Oh gosh.
who was inducted by Ted DiBiase and Brett DiBiase, Ted DiBiase Jr. and Brett DiBiase. Then we had Tonio Inoki, who was inducted by Stan Hansen, Wendy Richter, who was inducted by Roddy Piper, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, who was inducted by Pat Patterson,
Goodness.
and Gorgeous George, who was inducted by Dick Bayer, Stu Hart, who was inducted by his son Bret Hart, and Bob Uecker, who was inducted by Dick Ebersol.
Oh wow. Hold on for a second, Chris. But yeah, go ahead and start rolling with it, man. Start talking about $1 Million Man. About
$1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, guys. Ted DiBiase, man, this guy, whew, Harry remembers him when he was in Georgia, when he started in Georgia. I don't remember him then when he was just Ted DiBiase. I remember when he got to New York and became the $1 Million Man. When I saw him, he was doing shows or vignettes in the Lifestyle of Rich and Famous. And something that I did not know, when he was talking to Robin Leach, the host of Lifestyle of Rich and Famous, he was like, Robin, I don't even have, this ain't in my house. Where we're doing this ain't my house. This is Vince's house. This is Vince McMahon's house. I don't even have nothing close to this. And Ted said, Robin leaned over. He was like, don't worry. We get it. A lot of stars that we show on our show, that ain't their houses either. The show rents it for them, or they know somebody with the house and they use their house to perpetrate. So he's like, we get it. So yeah, that's some of the things that and then the most iconic thing that I remember Ted DiBiase, that $1 Million belt. Oh my God. That belt was amazing, man.
Man, you must be out your mind, man.
that belt was amazing, Harry.
Now, I thought you was out your mind about it years ago, man. But like I say, you still think that belt's amazing. What?
It is, man. That belt is iconic, man. That belt is iconic, Harry.
That's the reason he shouldn't be in, man. That's what I don't think.
Come on, stop
that belt.
Man, you tripping, man.
Man, what did he do over in WWE, man? What did Ted DiBiase do at WWE?
Man. Okay.
What makes him great in WWE besides making that belt, man? I mean, coming up with that belt and parading around like he was $1 million, like he was the $1 Million Man. I mean, like he really had that money.
He bought everybody the WWE Championship. He bought the WWE Championship, and
I remember that.
And then he was gonna give it to Andre, but Andre was like, "No, you take it." Yeah. He bought Andre the Giant, but to take out Hogan.
Okay, now look. Not gonna say he didn't do a lot of memorable things, and he is part of that legacy when they was at the top of their game, when WWE was just huge. You can't take that away from Ted DiBiase.
No.
But what iconic match? Give me a couple iconic matches that he had that we can all gravitate toward, that we can all grab. And that it grips your
WrestleMania 5 or 6, when he had that match with Macho Man in the tournament for the title at WrestleMania.
He lost though, right?
Yeah, he lost.
Okay,
Macho Man ended up winning that tournament. But yeah, that was a good match.
I remember that.
That was a good match. And like Black Rain said, Ted was gonna get his kid like $800 if he could bounce the ball like 10 times or 20 times, actually. Bounce a basketball. And right at 19, he kicked the ball away from the kid. And
I remember that. I remember that too. Yeah. That was disgusting. That was disgusting.
That was classic stuff, man. That was classic stuff.
Oh, it is. It is. There ain't no doubt about that.
Kick that ball away from that poor kid, but that was some good stuff, boy.
That was disgusting.
Man,
look, Ted DiBiase. Look, man, I'm very disappointed in Ted DiBiase's WWE run. Very, very disappointed.
I told him you know him back when he was in Georgia.
Man, I knew him back when he was in Georgia. I knew him back in Memphis, Mid-South, in Mid-Atlantic from the 70s. I remember in the 70s. I was scared when I first seen him, man.
What?
He scared me, Chris. I'm not talking about scared. I wasn't scared of him as a person. He scared me because he was better. He was better than Ric Flair. He was better than Ricky Steamboat. He was better than Mr. Wrestling Tim Woods. He was better than these guys, Chris. He was a young guy. He was better than them as a wrestler. Man, look. Stronger. He was stronger. He more technical. He was an incredible wrestler, Chris.
Stronger? Ted DiBiase ain't that. What?
Man, Ted DiBiase was strong, Chris.
That Joker didn't have a body or nothing, boy.
Chris, that Joker was strong, man. That Joker was powerful, man. He was strong.
He so didn't look it, boy. He
Chris,
didn't look it.
No. His body was more defined back in this. He never was muscled or anything. He had a hard body, kind of like he was a Harley Race guy without the tubbiness, the gut. Yeah. And he Chris, if you saw Harley Race, think of a young Harley Race. That was Ted DiBiase. And I'm talking about incredible, man. Incredible. Had the look, knew how to talk on the mic, everything. Now he was a baby at the time. But I'm like, this guy is a threat. He was a threat to, look, I didn't know how long he was going to stay in the, Mid-Atlantic when he first came. He came to Jim Crockett Promotions back in the 70s.
Okay.
Then he left. Next thing you know, he went to Georgia and became a heel. Left Georgia, went back to Memphis, was a heel there, came back to Georgia, was a heel again. Next thing you know, and then he went to WWE. Didn't have another stop in Jim Crockett Promotions. But
he was done after that.
Yeah, but look, man, when he went to WWE, what got me is because I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, this guy's the best wrestler up there. When he first got there. I think Steamboat had left. It was between him and Steamboat. But he was actually better than Steamboat. I'm like, this guy is the best wrestler up there. And I don't know how long he was in the WWE. I can't, how long he was in there. I know he was there for years. Holding this $1 million belt and all this stuff. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this. I'm like, Vince McMahon, you got the greatest wrestler. Ted DiBiase could have went down. Ted DiBiase could probably went down as one of the top 5 or 6 wrestlers of all time, man. He was Luther. He had that Luthez type thing about him, man. And I don't say that lightly. Luthez was, what Luthez was. He was just iconic, man. That was Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase was just, he could do any move. He could lock you up any kind of way. He was Billy Robinson. He was like Billy Robinson, man. He was incredible. He was incredible, Chris. When I first seen him, man, I was just like, wow. And that's the reason I never liked him when he went to WWE and became $1 million man. He didn't wrestle all the time. He didn't have to wrestle. I understand that.
Yeah.
But the Ted DiBiase that I saw there was not the same Ted DiBiase, and I was mad. I'm like, you're robbing the wrestling fans. Well, I felt he was robbing me. At least he was robbing me. Because I'm like this guy, the real Ted DiBiase, he'll take Hogan apart, man. He'll take Randy Savage apart. But when he did in that tournament against Randy Savage, he lost that title. I'm like, not lost that, lost that shot. He lost that match in that tournament. I remember that. I'm like, okay, I was kind of shocked a little bit, but I can understand. I'm like, Randy Savage working hard. He's working hard. He's trying to do this thing. It seemed like Ted DiBiase kind of lost it a little bit at that time. He wasn't wrestling as good, but he's still a good wrestler, but not as good. And I'm like, man, this guy is something. One day he's gonna set aside that $1 million title and say, hey, man, I'm the king, man. I'm the best wrestler here. I mean, definitely was way better than Jerry Lawler. when he was in Memphis, way better than him.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there looking at like this guy is one of the best wrestlers in the world. And when you one of the best wrestlers in the world and you don't give me what you actually have, you don't give me 100%, you give me 60, 70% of what you actually are, man, I have a problem with that. And you know what? And I always, I had to think that I always equated it to an injury. I'm like, he's injured. He can't wrestle like that no more. There's something that he's done in his career that's made him to where his body can't perform like it used to. Because that's not the same Ted DiBiase. And then he parading around with that $1 million belt. I didn't, I did kind of like the gimmick though, and I like Virgil. I like the gimmick. I was
about to say, we had Virgil too, man.
I like the gimmick, the way the gimmick played off and everything. But yeah, he definitely deserved to be in, man. But I'm still kind of upset that he got in. But yeah, do he deserve to be in? Is he a legendary figure that's always going to be remembered? As long as we're on this earth, most definitely. So yeah, he deserves to be in, man. But I had to get my little spill out, man. But Chris, if you want to see some incredible wrestling, go back and look at some old film of Ted DiBiase from the 70s and 80s, man. That guy, woo! That guy was man. He was special, bro. He was really good.
Now we're moving on to our next one. Antonio Inoki.
Oh, wow.
I told you, hey, this was filled with a bunch of your guys, but Antonio Inoki. I never saw Antonio Inoki wrestle, so I really can't too much speak on him. Very,
very good. Could do anything he wanted to in the ring. Could do anything he wanted to with you in the ring. Antonio Inoki was maybe the best Japanese wrestler ever when it boils down to it. And martial arts into what he did, his repertoire, but did it better than anybody. Could lock you up better than anybody. He had that Vern Gagne, Bob Backlund. Him and Bob Backlund went to a 45-minute draw. I'll never forget that match. Outstanding, man, just outstanding. Outstanding wrestler. Outstanding martial artist. I mean, he actually competed in martial arts contests.
Yeah.
And won a lot of them. Yeah, he's I don't know, man, iconic and deserve every single accolade that you hear out here about him. It's kind of like Thunderbolt Patterson. You really don't know about Thunderbolt Patterson, but this guy was bigger than Thunderbolt Patterson. But Antonio Inoki was just, man, he just had it all. He had it all. Let's see, but if you look at all the Japanese wrestlers, I'm gonna come back on the screen since you came back on. You look at all the Japanese wrestlers, man.
Yeah,
everything that they do. I'm talking about the earlier ones. Kabuki, Muda, Saito, Mr. Fuji, all those guys. Roll everything into them as one package. I'm gonna take those 4 wrestlers right there, one package. Roll all of that. And Tiger, what is the name? Whatever his name, Tiger, the one, the cruiserweight. But you roll all 5 of those into one. That's Antonio Inoki.
And he was a heck of a promoter too, from what I understand. Because
great promoter. New Japan Pro Wrestling. He built that. It was actually bigger when it was bigger than what it is now. He almost killed it though, because when the MMA came along, he started having those wrestlers. He started putting his wrestlers into MMA. He started trying to do that. He started he did something with his promotion and had those guys go over and wrestle some MMA matches. Didn't work out well, Chris, because he wanted to prove that the Japanese wrestlers was just as tough as those new MMA guys that came out.
Well, the only one that actually survived, and he's still wrestling today, Shinsuke.
Yeah, Shinsuke. Yeah.
Shinsuke was.
But see, if Antonio Inoki, I can understand what he was wanting to do, because Antonio Inoki, like I said, outside of wrestling, he was wrestling and he still competed as far as martial arts contest. He
Yeah.
even competed against Chuck Norris back in the day. Got beat, but he competed against him.
Yeah.
But of course, the Muhammad Ali boxing thing. But
yeah.
That was so stupid. But man, this guy, and the way his body was built and how long his body was built, if he started locking you up, Chris, you wasn't getting out of it.
Oh, no.
Super strong too, but yeah, incredible. Antonio Inoki, man, incredible wrestler. And in the Tokyo Dome, as big as it sold out every night. Now it's like 40,000. Sometimes it gets 40,000, 60,000. It don't sell out every night. When he had it sold out every night, and it was the second biggest sport in Japan at that time after baseball. Yeah, and it was all because of him. All because of him. He was incredible, man. As a manager, wrestler, owner, wrestler, everything.
Yeah, Tony Inoki was something else, man.
Yeah, he was.
So we're gonna keep it moving on, guys. Next we have Wendy Richter, who was inducted by Roddy Piper. Wendy Richter.
Only thing I can say about Wendy Richter, I don't think she was a great wrestler, but as far as the history of WWE, you can't take that away from her. What she did, as far as she ended up beating Moolah, and she ran around with Cyndi Lauper, and she really put a focus on women's wrestling. So you got to give it to her there. So she definitely deserved to be in. She deserves to be in. Now, all this thing of who was that? Tony Storm calling her out, and I think it's Tony Storm, the one calling her out. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Now,
and look, Tony Khan might be putting her up to this.
Why though? That's just stupid.
For ratings. Wendy Richter is 61? 60. She's in the
60s, something like
61, that. 62. Keep your butt at home, Wendy.
Yeah, don't
show up in AEW. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. You can't wrestle. She wasn't a great wrestler back then. There was wrestlers that was better than her, female wrestlers that was better than her. She was pretty good though. But none of those moves equate to the day. They don't translate to the day. They don't.
No. I don't even remember what her finisher was.
Yeah, I don't either. You're gonna look bad against these women today. Hey, Lita looked bad against the women today. So if she looked bad, she looked bad against them. You definitely gonna look bad against them. So I tell you what, stay at home.
Yeah, don't do it.
But as far as in the Hall of Fame, yeah, she deserves to be in there. So I can roll with that. I definitely can roll with that, man.
All right, next it was another one of your guys, Harry. Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, inducted by Pat Patterson.
Craziest guy I ever seen in my life. Outside of Abdullah the Butcher, the craziest person I ever seen in my life, man. Mad Dog Vachon was flat out crazy. Look, man, I will never forget when Dusty Rhodes had that feud against Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen. He said, "I brought somebody here, man. That's somebody." He brought somebody. He brought somebody to the show and had him in a cage, boy. They had him in a cage for like 2 or 3 weeks, man. Had him in the cage, and Ole was so scared, man. Ole and Stan Hansen, Ole Anderson, and Stan Hansen they were so scared, and they were like, "It's a bear," it's like it's a bear in there, man. There's something in there. It just rattling in the cage, roar, just making all kind of noise, man. It sounded like an animal. I thought it was an animal. It did not sound like a wrestler. Just crazy. Now, this was in the 80s. Now, I did see Mad Dog Vachon in AWA in the 70s. I thought he was crazy then, too. But as he got older, he was even crazier. Man,
that's
like the third week, like they had it for 2 weeks out there, and they was wondering what was in that cage. And what's the name? Ole was scared. Dusty be out there talking about, "I got somebody here for you. He said, "I'm gonna release this guy next week. I'm gonna release him." And for 2 weeks talking, and Ole was scared. Ole said, "I gotta see what's in this cage." Him and Stan Hansen going up to the cage, and the guys whoever was in that cage, it was a maniac, monster or something, just started rattling that cage, just going flipping crazy. And Ole and Stan was scared to come near that cage. And then 1 week, then that third week, man, they come rolling out, walking out. Next thing you know, They up there, and Dusty said, "I'm telling you, I'm gonna open this cage. I'm opening this cage. You guys come over here and bother me," because they always would mess with him while he had a interview or whatever. They come out and try to attack or whatever. And he opened up that cage, man. Wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good, man. Mad Dog Vachon released it. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody already knew who he was. Now, especially the older fans.
Yeah.
Jim was it Jim Ross? I think Ross was there at that time. Yeah, Jim Ross. I think David Crockett. Yeah, it was David Crockett and Tony Schiavone. I think. Yeah, it was those two. They just flipped out. That's Mad Dog Vachon. That's Mad Dog Vachon. Bad. He was biting on the cage, and he bit the cage so much he started his mouth with his teeth. He started bending the doggone cage apart with his mouth. Then he grabbed it, started pulling it apart. But like you say, he chewed it to get it down to where it was open. And Dusty had something where he just clipped the cage open.
Hold on, guys.
All right, man. Then that fool come out. Goodness sake, man. Ole and Stan just started taking off running. It was incredible. It was an incredible scene, man. But yeah, Mad Dog, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, and in the ring, he was just like a rabid dog, man. He was like, Buzz Sawyer 3.0. Just a killer inside that ring, man. But yeah, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon is incredible. And he is pretty much the leader of, that Vachon family, him and Paul Vachon, Luna Vachon, and there's some other Vachons too. But he is the one who made that name famous, the Vachon name. But that guy right there is one of the craziest wrestlers, along with the Sheik, along with Missing Link, and probably a couple other ones, Abdullah the Butcher, Killer Kowalski, a couple of the other guys, man, that one of the craziest guys I ever seen in a ring. Just madhouse, man. He was Bruiser Brody before Bruiser Brody, and more vicious. But yeah, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon is just incredible, man. Really and truly incredible. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get some comments, and hopefully Chris will come back so we can talk a little bit more about Maurice Mad Dog Vachon. But Mad Dog Vachon was just, oh gosh, man, I would have hated to run into that guy, because I'm telling you, talking about somebody who probably as a wrestler that will really beat you up. If he saw you on the streets and you said the wrong thing, it's Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, man. And that's probably, oh gosh. Now that I think about it, I never thought about it. But yeah, Buzz Sawyer. I think I thought about it when I was a kid or teenager. Buzz Sawyer was trying to be like him. That's where he got it from. All right. JL. Damn, a long time no see. All right, let's see. Yeah, Thirsty Jack, New Japan Pro Wrestling was ahead of the game since 1974. Yes, sir. Yeah, Thirsty Jack says Enochiism was wild. Yes, it was, man. Goodness sake, man. Wow. All right, I'm going back up because I don't know where Chris stopped with these with the talks. Okay. All right, Black Rain 7920 says I love when Ted kicked the ball. Okay, I read Chris already got that from that little kid classic. All right, Jason Dunn says laugh out loud. Scott Hall won when he threw the toothpick at the guy. Classic. Yeah, that was very good. That was very good. Black Rain 7920, the dark side of the ring on JYD. He was in it. They were best friends. He helped get JYD over in Mid-South. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you say him and Bill Watts was best friends? I believe it. I believe it, man. But yeah, that guy, Bill Watts done a lot as far for black wrestlers, but he done a lot for wrestling altogether. So yes, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, man. I mean, you cannot wrestling wouldn't be what it is today when it boils down to it if it wasn't for him. He's part of it, man. He's part of the growth of it. He really is. All right, Manny K says AEW Dynamite rating 752,000. God almighty. NXT drew more than Dynamite. Sup, guys? Thanks, Manny K. Wow. And you know what? They went to extra lengths last night with Dynamite. And with that, especially with that ending there, the contract signing between between Swerve Strickland and Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe beat him with that chain, man. Swerve's trying to hit him first, but they went a little, they went a little bit, they went a little bit out the box. Well, not really out the box because they do certain things like that all the time, but they tried to top what we saw with last week when we saw as far as Rock attacking Cody. They tried to duplicate that. That's what they was doing. That's basically what they was doing. We got to beat that. But man, don't seem like it helped the ratings at all. Man, I just don't know what in the world to say. Inokiism was wild, yes sir. Thirsty Jack. Thirsty Jack says New Japan Pro Wrestling was head of the game since 1974. Hill, you right about that, man. No doubt about that. JL, damn, long time no see. What's up, JL? JL, my man is in the house. JL, sorry, I've been very busy. That's okay, JL. Man, I knew you was around. But JL says Mania looks great, but let's be honest, Stand and Deliver is rubbish. Besides the Trick versus Carmelo match, man, I just don't know. I think they're still gonna put on a good show. They don't have the card set as good as they've been, it's been in the past, JL. But we still watching it, and we still will be broadcasting it. We're gonna be doing that live, and then we'll do WrestleMania right after it, the first night. JL, so Harrington, okay. Breaking news: Coco Jones is singing the national anthem at Mania. Okay, that's interesting. Definitely interesting. Let me see. All right, man. Let me see.
All right, where we at, man? Where we at?
Okay, I'm reading the comments. JL says breaking news: Coco Jones is singing the national anthem at Mania. Okay.
Who the heck is Coco Jones?
I really don't know, to tell you the truth. I'm like, it's cool either way it go. But Coco Jones must be big in Canada. I don't know Coco Jones. JL, so Harrington, what did you think about Piero fight footage? Pretty good, JL. Really good. Tall, very rangy, connect with a lot of shots. Very, very good, with hands and feet. Definitely. So I'm going to watch some more of it too, JL. Ben Lascuse, Mad Dog Sean, Burf, Theo Hill, laugh out loud. Pretty much, Ben.
Boy, I agree with that, boy.
Pretty much. But like I said, Chris, I went ahead and ran down the whole thing. Ran down his family. You had Paul Vachon, Luna Vachon, and there was a couple other ones too. But, he's the head of that Vachon, pretty much that legacy. But I went ahead and compared him to a few wrestlers. If you want to talk about guys that's pretty much compared to him, that he compared to, if you want to put Sheik and Sheik and Missing Link, the original Sheik and Missing Link together, that's Mad Dog Vachon.
Lord,
Sheik, Missing Link. He was, Bruiser Brody before Bruiser Brody. He was Mad Dog before Mad Dog. Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer definitely wanted to be like Mad Dog Maurice Mad Dog Vachon. That's where Buzz got it from. I'm sure he did, and I really didn't think about it again until now. I did think about it back in the day. I'm like, he's trying to be like Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. I mean, Mad Dog Vachon. And look, he even lost a tooth. He even I got that missing tooth like Mad Dog had there. And Buzz Sawyer did that same thing. he tried to copy him, man. And man, I tell you what, Buzz Sawyer, he lived up to a lot of those things, man, but he wasn't as wild. He was close to it. But yeah, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, he shouldn't have been the guy shouldn't have been in wrestling. He's one of these guys, like I said. He's one of these guys, man. If you say something wrong to him, he's gonna beat your butt, man. In real life, he's just gonna loose cannon, man. Loose cannon, man. But yeah, great, outstanding wrestler, man. Outstanding, outstanding in and outside the ring. And they even said it too. They like Mad Dog Vachon. They were talking to a lot of the legacy people, man. They're talking to Ken Patera, Vern Gagne, Greg Gagne. A lot of those guys, man, Jumping Jim Brunzell, they said, man, this guy right here, you go in the ring with him, you're gonna really be in a fight. He was gonna be physical with you. He's very stiff. He's gonna be physical with you. And if you wasn't physical back, if you wasn't physical enough to where he felt it, he will beat you up for real. He would just beat you up for real.
Ooh-wee.
In the match, he just take it into his own hands and he will beat you up, and he will tell you about it afterwards. because you did not fight him. You did not.
That's rough, boy.
You did not get stiff back with him. You know, if you got stiff back with him, then it will be a basic hardcore fight, like a Nick Fury, Brian Bullock type thing, Chris. You know, those guys going hard at each other. But if you didn't go hard back at him, he would just beat you up. He would tear you apart. And they'd be like, man, why did you do that? You would go be, everything that you see in a street fight, that's what would happen. Mad Dog Vachon would just tear you apart. So you had to go in there. You had to actually fight him. Bulldog Bob Brown, they said he beat him up so bad one time. Maurice Mad Dog Vachon beat Bulldog Bob Brown up so bad that the guy wanted to quit wrestling. But they said, Bulldog Bob Brown just got, went in there and it thought it was going to be a match the way he wasn't going to feel anything, and he was going to be able to just have and Mad Dog Vachon said, what are you doing? You better make me feel this. He didn't. They said he just started beating the living crap out of him, broke his jaw, crap. It was just trying to kill the dude, man. So I'm just like,
yeah, that's crazy.
He was no nonsense, man. No nonsense. But
I see, man.
Flat out crazy. All right. But all right, Ben Lascous says, sup, Harry and Chris. What's up, Ben, my man? Ben Lascous in the house. All right, JL, man, I got girl, it's true. Stuck in my head. You
missing all kind of comments, man.
Okay, wait a minute. I did stop looking at my tablet. Okay, we got
all kind of comments, boy.
Okay, we got Alma Clark.
Yeah, we got
all right, Mean Mark Lauren, the Purple Haze. Yeah. That dude scared me as a kid. Yeah, he was very scary. That chokehold made the wrestlers foam at the mouth, gave me nightmares for a week, laugh out loud. Good times, B90. Look, I remember that Mean Mark, man, he would put people in that chokehold and he would start saying, yeesh. And you had to control him. He was like, yeesh. My man Eric Sullivan said, man, he said, Harry, he said that joker can't be stopped. I said, man, somebody can stop him. He like, no, he can't be stopped. But Maniac Mark Lewin, and then Maniac Mark Lewin, he joined with Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan's group, and Kevin Sullivan was doing all that crazy demonic type stuff. Yeah, you Purple Haze, Woman, Kevin Sullivan. Woman was, I forgot what they called her, man, but that was a scary group. That was a scary group. They was already scary before Maniac Mark Lewin joined up with the group, man. But I'm just like, wow, man, that was just flat out crazy. All right, Alma Clark says, hello, how are you doing? How are you guys?
That wasn't all. That was Missy Childers.
Okay, Missy Childers. Okay, how you doing, Missy? You're doing pretty good. I'm glad that you joined us. Joined us here on the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Hope you're doing well. But appreciate you coming in and rocking with us. No, most definitely. All right, Ben Lascous, Mad Dog Vachon, Birthday of Hill, laugh out loud.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I can see that.
That's crazy. Ben Lascous, sup, Harry and Chris. All right, let's see. Who's the Facebook user?
That is Missy Childress again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Are you talking about Bill Watts being in the Hall of Fame? Yes, ma'am. Yes, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Yes, we was. Sure was. Yeah. And let's see, somebody else said something about Bill Watts, said some good things about Bill Watts. I think it was Ben or somebody, but said Junkyard Dog said him and Bill Watts was the Junkyard Dog said Bill Watts was his best friend. And he helped him get over in Mid-South.
And Ernie Ladd actually said something about Bill Watts. Because him and Ernie were good friends.
Oh yeah.
And he basically said, he told his wife, he's like, baby, when I get out of football, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler.
Right.
And he's like, I did okay in pro football, but I'm really gonna make it big in wrestling. And one day, I promise you, we're gonna have a white man driving us around in a nice Cadillac, baby. I promise you. And he said some years later, he was in pro wrestling. And he made it big because you know how big Ernie Cat got, how big of a legend and how much money he made.
Oh, heck yeah. He
said one day Ernie was doing something in Louisiana or something was going on. And Bill Watts came and picked him up, him and his wife.
Wow.
And and Bill Watts was driving around somewhere, and Ernie was in the back seat with his wife. He's like, "Baby, remember that promise I told you? I told you I was gonna make it, and we was gonna have us a cracker driving us around everywhere."
Oh
And
God, oh boy, that's messed up.
And Bill Watts,
we know he's just joking around, but
yeah,
kid is and
Bill Watts was in the front driving, cracking up,
I
man.
bet he was,
And
man.
he was cracking up.
And you know
man.
what? And Bill Watts was huge in Louisiana. He was Fritz Von Erich, man. He was Fritz Von Erich in Louisiana, just like Fritz in Texas. Fritz was everything. Bill Watts was that in Louisiana. So if people would have saw Bill Watts taking Ernie Ladd around, but everybody knew who Ernie Ladd was too. Ernie was a big from football too. He was, because he was just the tallest person in football, the biggest person in football. All right, what we got here? Mercedes is not a draw, Harry. No, she's not.
No.
Say Mercedes is not a draw. Harry said that more and more is becoming true, like what Cat Williams say for Hollywood. More and more is becoming true. Man. Well, but like I said a little bit earlier, Ben Lascuse, I don't try to brag or anything. It's just that I've been watching wrestling for so long. I can just foresee things that's going to happen. See it, man. And that's the reason, when I tell Chris, I'm like, look, this is not, this is the way this is going to turn out. I can foresee it, and it always happens because it's just I've been watching it for so long. It's just like a football coach or a person, or you could be a parent. Say you're a parent and you have several kids. You got 4 kids, and they range in total different ages, and you just see things, as they go. You can pretty much tell, hey, no, this right here is not going to work. It's because I've seen so many different scenarios, all the way from the early 70s all the way up until now, as far as in wrestling, when it's going to work, when a feud should stop, when they're going overboard. And it's not the way that my mind is just working that way. It's just that people like Bill Watts, we're talking about Bill Watts, people like Bill Watts, people like Jim Crockett, people like Fritz Von Erich, people like Vince McMahon, Senior and Junior. These guys, George Scott, Dusty Rhodes, let's see, Ernie the Cat Ladd, Bill Dundee, Jerry the King Lawler. These guys were such great bookers. They knew when to start a feud, how to start a feud, how to get a storyline going, and they knew when to end it. And I was able to see all that. I was able to see it, as far as growing up, when all the great feuds happened, when all the great rivalries happened in wrestling. And I was able to see how all that played out. And that just worked with my mind today. It's like, man, they did not let things go too far. I remember when Magnum TA, they knew how to, when he was hot, they knew how to, when he was hot, and when he they knew when to cool him down, they knew when to start it back up. Oh, yeah. They just knew how to do it. They had a knack for it. And that's what we don't have in wrestling today. We don't have people that have a knack for that now. We really don't. And I look at somebody like Triple H, and Triple H is still feeling himself, he's still feeling himself around that. He's getting better and better. But right now, we don't have bookers that know how to do that. And wrestling, now I've seen a couple people, I think, on the indie scene that could do it. One of them right now, he's running a construction company, or running pretty much head guy of a construction thing. But man, it's just, we just don't have that. But that's one thing that was incredible about what I loved about wrestling. It was just, you learn from the people that you see, and to become wise in anything that you do. If you want to, all the way from, if you want to be around somebody, if you want to learn about God, hey, somebody that's reading the Bible all the time or whatever, you just sit there and listen. If you sit there and listen, of course, read yourself or whatever, or you want to be a football coach or basketball coach, or you want to be a manager, of a fast food chain or a grocery store, or an executive in some kind of company, you say you could be the janitor or whatever. There's plenty of people that have been the janitor and became CEOs of a major company. You have somebody like Pat Riley, who became the great Pat Riley, the Lakers coach. He was a statistician. All he did was write down the stats of the games. That was his job, a statistician. He wrote down the stats. Magic Johnson had this many points tonight. He had this many assists. Kareem had this many rebounds. So Chaz, be quiet. Hold on for a second. Guys, hold on for a second. You right? Whoa.
You already muted you, man. I already muted you. I got you. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, hold on, Chaz.
All right, guys. So Ben, yeah, she's not a draw, man. She's really not a draw at all, man. She's really not a draw at all. JL, man, I got girl, it's true stuck in my head. Millie Vanilli. Yeah, look, boy, that's messed up, JL. Jerry Brown, what's up, Chris and Harry? Hey, what's going on, Jerry? What's happening? Glad you made it in, man. Jerry Brown, Tony Storm, though she can be thought she could be Wendy. Man, no. There's only one Wendy Richter, man. Nobody else. There's only one. There's only one Wendy Richter. All right, Jerry Brown, Wendy Prime versus Charlotte Flair. Now, who wins?
All right, man.
Charlotte. I still say Charlotte wins it.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
Charlotte, I mean, even with Wendy in her prime, Charlotte still wins it.
Yeah, Charlotte would have beat her, man. Yeah. I don't think Wendy would have fared real good in this climate, man.
No, she wouldn't.
I'm just look. I think she would have. She had the talent because you know what? She reminds me. Well, I have to say, Britt Baker reminds me of Wendy Richter. As far as the way Britt Baker wrestles and everything, she reminds me of Wendy Richter. But Britt is more advanced than Wendy. But if Wendy still had these same, the same trainers that they have today, the same training techniques, and everything that they have available to what these female wrestlers have now, Wendy would have been a lot better. But I don't know if she would have. I don't know if she would have been a Becky Lynch. I don't know if she would have been a Charlotte Flair. I don't know. But yeah, Wendy was incredible at her time. In her time, she was incredible. But she wasn't no Medusa. She wasn't Medusa Michelli. Alundra Blaze. Some of you guys know her as Alundra Blaze, but she wasn't her. But she was pretty good.
All right, Jeff Samuel, what's up, OG? How everything's been? I know Chris ordered some pie and some ice cream. Man, you tripping, Jeff. You was tripping.
All right.
Jeff Samuel, Dusty brought in Mad Dog Vashon. The only memorable thing in his craziness, just like Thea Hale today, all Chris talk about is why he's so wild. Yay, man. That's I mean, Harry knows about it, man. I never get to see him,
Jeff,
but I didn't get to see him. So.
Hey, Jeff, he won, man. Look, he won some world titles, man. And not singles. He won world titles tag team with Paul. He did some incredible things. He won some major singles titles, regional titles with an AWA. So yeah, he done a lot of. And look, those belts was very important back in the day. He did some major things, man. So, yeah, not just that craziness that you saw in the NWA. I know you saw him later. You probably younger than me. So, you just saw him at that time. I saw him all the way back into the early 70s when I saw Mad Dog Vashon, but I knew about his exploits from back in the 60s. Now, I didn't get to see him. Of course, I didn't get to see him in the 60s, But, because I was a little baby then. I was born right after King was assassinated. But right before King was assassinated. So I didn't get to see him. I was a little baby in the 60s. But in the 70s, I knew about him. I saw him in the 70s. And so I did get my cousins, and we had people in the neighborhood who had those big, huge satellites. You know what I'm talking about, Chris. Over in the yard, we go over to their house, man, and we watch wrestling. You can watch wrestling from anywhere. And we watched the AWA when it came on. Wasn't that good either. Wasn't that good, but they had a lot of great wrestlers. They had Billy Robinson, they had Vern Gagne, and Nick Botwinkle, the Jumping Jim Brunzell, Greg Gagne, let's see, Ken Patera. They had a lot of good wrestlers, but that product wasn't as good as it should have been. You had regional promotions that was better than the AWA, but the AWA was worldwide known. They had they had some regions that they went to. But Mad Dog Vashon, I remember him in those, and he was just crazy. He was crazy. Most likely, when it boils down to it, Jeff Samuel, when it boils down to it, his legacy was crazy. He was just being crazy. You know, he was just crazy. And in the 70s, he really didn't win a whole bunch of titles. But, in the 80s, that was his claim to fame in the 80s. Was when he came back. I mean, when he went over to Georgia Championship Wrestling, Dusty brought him in and he was in that cage, man. That was just crazy. I got somebody in this cage. He's gonna get you, boy. That was just crazy. This dude here, man.
Jeff Samuel, Georgia Animal Steel's another crazy one. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Now, when I saw him Georgia Animal Steel, he was a calm little dude, man.
He was a loving guy teddy bear when you first saw him. But he was a nut before years before that, back in the 60s and 70s, man, and early 80s before you start watching, probably when you was probably 4 or 5 years old. By the time you hit about 8 years old, about 83, 84, he became this lovable type guy. But 81, he still was doing that crazy stuff.
Yeah. Chris Thunder Anderson is in the building, guys. Chris Thunder says, "What's up, guys?" Chris Thunder, what's going on?
All right, Chris Thunder Anderson, guys. You want to see a tough, rugged wrestler, and the first guy on the indie scene that I took notice of, and I think Chris did too, was this guy right here, Chris Thunder Anderson. I never forget when Chad pretty much brought him in and said, "Hey, I brought a big brother in here, and hey, we're gonna take care of business." And Thunder Anderson came out there. I was very impressed with him, guys. Very impressed with him.
Yeah.
And he impressed me. I was very impressed with him inside that ring, too. Incredible wrestler, guys.
And that man got hands that's crippled more people than polio.
Yeah, I remember that. He jacked me up, guys. He jacked me up.
and a lot of folk can't get away with that, boy.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. But yeah, Chris Thunder Anderson, man. Like I say, hey, guys, I'm gonna do a review. I'm gonna go back and do some reviews of some of the rankings that me and Chris did, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna do a review. We're gonna do a recap of what we did with Chris Thunder Anderson. That he was the first one that we reviewed. I think he was the first one we did, Chris.
Yeah,
either him or Jet, one of the two. I think it was Chris. We're gonna go back and check that out, man. But this guy right here. Check out Chris Thunder Anderson. Look up some stuff, man. I know we got some stuff in the archives, but look him up on the internet, man. But we got some stuff in the archives. You can look him up and check out some of his matches, man. But yeah, this guy right here, he's incredible. Deserves more credit than he gets, out here on the indie scene as far as in the Carolinas. But he's been around for a long time, and I know there's young guys coming up that's getting a lot more probably pop right now, getting a lot more, getting seen more than him. But in my opinion, hey, it's none better than Chris Thunder Anderson. Yeah. And all right, Chris, go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Jeff Samuel says Harry's favorite jam was "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." LOL.
Oh yeah, man, that was a great song, man. That was a great song.
Alma Clark says "Fallen Angel." Jeff Samuel, wait, Harry.
Yeah, Fallen Angel. That was a woman used to go by Fallen Angel. Thank you, Alma.
Jeff Samuel says, "Oh shoot, Harry, wait, what Jimmy Uso's got from me, Mark Lewis, now makes sense. He used to say yeesh, and Jimmy say yeet."
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Alma Clark, Fallen Angel, B90.
Yeah.
Jeff Samuel, and I mean Mark Lewis gave Taker to pay homage to the choke slam. Okay.
Mark Lewin?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And Missy Childress says, "Is he in the Hall of Fame?" Bill Watts. And I replied back, "Yes, he is."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Jeff Samuel, I like Bill Watts. I love reading history books. It can be wrestling also. Okay.
Right.
Robert Corson, what's going on? Glad you made it in, man.
What's up, Robert?
Robert says Bill Watts and Vince and Antonio Inoki made wrestling huge for TK to come in and ruin it. TK giving me the old Bischoff vibe from WCW. I don't know why, but anyway, what's up, Harry and Chris?
Well, what's up, Robert Corson? I tell you what, Robert, man, you pretty much hit the you pretty much hit it out the park when you said that about Tony Khan reminding you of Eric Bischoff. Hey, I can't. I can't.
Don't go on a tangent, but I know how.
I'm not gonna go on a tangent on that, but hey, I can't disagree with you on that, man. You 100% right, 100% right on that. But Tony Khan just now hired somebody from WWE, and he's the COO, so he's going to be the Chief Operating Officer. We're going to see how that works out. And we had another podcaster, a real somebody that's been on, that pretty much a lot of our listeners listen to. He pretty much said that AEW was dead in the water until CM Punk just came out and said all that stuff about AEW. Now Tony Khan has wised up and went and got somebody else who's going to run the company. But we'll see how far that goes. We will see how far that goes. Tony Khan, I just don't see him letting go of anything. I don't see him letting go of the book or the operation of that company, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Missy Children says, have we done a WrestleMania prediction show yet? No, we have not. No,
Missy said not. What?
Have we done our WrestleMania prediction show?
No, we haven't. But yeah, we
no.
Well, actuality, we should roll on into that. Just a second, Chris. Be right back.
All right. Alma says Joe Blanchard in Houston's wrestling organization. Okay. And Jerry Brown, Dustin was a good booker, so was Jim Ross in the back, bringing the talent and development. We won't have Rock, and it wasn't for Jim Ross. Yeah. Actually, Jerry, it was Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson brought The Rock to Vince first. It was actually Pat Patterson that did it, not Jim Ross. Jay Brown says, yeah, Harry. But yeah, so Wendy Richter, man, she is in the we just talked about Mad Dog. I'm sorry. We just talked about Mad Dog. All right, now we got three more to go. Two more after this individual. Gorgeous George. He was inducted by Dick Breyer, who was better named as the Destroyer and Dr. X. That's who inducted Gorgeous George.
Now, who? Now, say that name again. Who inducted him?
Dick Bayer. He was known as the Destroyer,
Dick Bayer, yeah,
and Dr. X.
Yeah, I know Dick Bayer. Yeah. So, wow, man. Gorgeous George, before my time, before your time, Chris.
No, but yeah, I know before my time.
I know all about him. I know all about him. But no, look. Excuse me. Put it this way. He probably sold more tickets in wrestling than anybody. Any single individual in wrestling, when it boils down to it, Gorgeous George probably outsold everybody. I don't know if there's any single individual, including Hulk Hogan, that outsold Gorgeous George. Gorgeous George, he popularized the sport. Before Gorgeous George, now all the stuff that you hear from Vince McMahon say, it was in little bars, it was dusty bar rooms and things like that. Hey, it actually was before Gorgeous George came. Gorgeous George came and they had it in the circus. It was in the circus and things like that. Or you had it in, like, say, dusty bar rooms and all that. That was back in the 20s or whatever. Gorgeous George came along, man. Gorgeous George took that, and look, I know they wanted, to brag on these gates and everything like that. Oh, we got 70-something thousand. That's the biggest live gate. Gorgeous George used to wrestle in front of 100,000 people. And look, and I'm going to tell you like this, guys. Back then, 30s, 40s, and 50s, people traveled to see these shows. You didn't have the entertainment that you have today. They didn't have access to entertainment. This guy would go from town to town, and if he went to a big city or whatever, everybody would come out and they fill out these big old stadiums or just certain places. He wrestled in front of crowds like Woodstock, man.
Oh, I believe it, man.
Yeah, he was incredible. He was incredible. But those things was not those. A lot of those now the numbers were recorded, but they was not put down in the history books like they are now. They wasn't put out. It's just they will see. I'm not saying all those jokers were paying fans, because a lot of times he just went and wrestled in the field. Like I say, it was a big, it could be a big field, like Field of Dreams. And thousands of people, they would set up bleachers or whatever they could so people could see. But it'd be thousands and thousands of people. I think the biggest one was out there in Indiana, Iowa, somewhere. Indiana, it could have been Idaho. but one of those fields he went out, and it was over 100,000 people, like 116,000 people in that place. That was out in that field to come out to see him. Just like boxing back in the day when Jack Johnson, Jack Johnson or any of those guys went out there and they boxed. They used to have those big, huge crowds. That's what kind of attraction he was, Chris. He was like like one of those boxers, man. Joe Lewis type guy, or whatever, that attracted a lot of people. And you only heard about you heard about him. You saw his, they put his pictures and things like that in, as far as the newspapers and everything. But this guy was, they played him on the radio and everything. But he was just a showman. He was the first showman in wrestling. And he came out, and back then everybody was manly man. When you was a wrestler, you was a manly man or whatever. He was the first one to put on the makeup and put on, and had all the flamboyancy. And people were really mad. So they wanted people like Luthez, Gene Kiniski, and all these guys to kill this dude, man. Yeah. They wanted him dead. Those pretty much. But yeah, he went out there and did that, and he was an incredible wrestler on top of that. He was a dynamic wrestler. But man, I wish Danny Paris was here. Danny Paris could tell you a lot more. I knew a lot about him and as far as the history of him, but Danny is a historian. Danny would know a lot more about him than I even know about him, and I know a lot about him because I was very interested in him. And there's documentaries out on him, man. But this guy right here, like I say, he is the one. If it wasn't wrestling, never would have got like this, because nobody before him, nobody would do the things that he would do. Nobody would try to go to that flamboyant side that we see with wrestlers now. But yeah, Gorgeous George, yeah, he deserves it. Most definitely. He should have been the first ballot holder. He should have been the first year that they had it. He should have been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Jerry Brown says, yeah, Harry. Jerry Brown says, Pat, yeah. Jerry Brown says, Harry's face expression. And Jerry says, yeah, the bear.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, guys, Gorgeous George, man, and that's basically where Ric Flair got his style from.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous George, man.
Yeah.
The robes, the flamboyant, the strut, all that, man. All that. That's basically what he studied. And then he took some stuff from Fargo, did the Fargo strut and made it even more dramatic and made it into his. So Flair basically took from Gorgeous George and
Buddy Rogers and
Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep moving on, guys. The next person, Harry, one of your guys again, man, Stu Hart, and he was inducted by his son, Bret Hart, man.
Okay, Stu, man. Hey, Stu, 100%. Man, Stu, I mean, one of the greatest trainers of all time, and was a good wrestler in his own right. Very good wrestler back in the day. Yeah. And somebody that kept kayfabe
alive for a long time.
Alive. He kept it to the hilt too. And I mean, his kids didn't know. He kept it from his kids, man. This guy would wear a cast at home. Whatever he had to do, and he had all his sons got them all involved in wrestling. And
the only two that really just
Bret and Owen
were the only two to really make it to that ultimate level.
Yeah, Bruce was okay. I never thought he was going to make it. To tell you the truth, I never thought Bret was going to be what he became. I really didn't. I thought Owen was going to be better than Bret, to tell you the truth, for a while there. Bret, my thing about Bret, I thought Bret was satisfied with what he was doing with Jim Damble, Neidhart. I always thought he was very talented.
Yeah.
But I figured, I say, okay, he's going to, end his career by, his brother-in-law or whatever. That's what he's going to do. But then he became solo, and we know where that went. So, but yeah, Stu, just off his training methods and having a great company that he ran over in
Calgary.
In Calgary, yeah. Just off of that alone.
And then, like you said, the list of trainees.
Yeah, all the people that he trained. Incredible.
Lord, incredible. He put some Hall of Famers through his training.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
So Stu definitely gets the heads up. And Bret said for the longest, his dad wore that cast until one day he was in the living room and he saw that cast.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. He's like, ain't that dad been wearing that since he got hurt? Why is it? What? And then he said the doorbell rang. And it was the lady from the
Mailman or
post
something
office,
like
the
that.
mailman, yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad was like, okay, hold on, I'm coming. And he had to go get the cast, put the cast on before he answered the door.
Yeah.
And Brett was like, at that moment, that's when I knew, okay, I'm getting it now. I'm understanding now.
Yeah, because Brett thought Abdullah the Butcher was killing him, boy.
He
thought
did.
Abdullah was killing him, boy. He put his foot out there, but they trip him up, boy. They thought Abdullah was killing the dude.
Yeah,
Man.
and then Abdullah turned around and was like, who messing with me? And he saw who it was. He's like, you get a pass this one time now.
Yeah.
You get a pass.
But yeah, Stu like, you gonna beat him up and beat my kid up. That's crazy. But Stu was so serious, man, about keeping kayfabe alive, man. And certain people like that was like that, man. Bill Watts. I guarantee you, I'll tell you one person who didn't know if it was kayfabe. And even his dad kept it alive. He's a wrestler now. Randy Orton, boy. I bet he never saw his dad take that cast off.
Bob Orton, boy.
Bob's still branding the cast. Boy, he still got that cast on.
But he probably gonna get. God forbid when he die, he probably gonna get buried with that cast.
He definitely is, man. But I tell you what, they need to put it on his tombstone. Boy, you put a cast on that tombstone. Man, that Joker tripped me out with that cast, man. I can't believe that. But yeah, Danny said he went a couple years ago, man. They shot just a couple years back, man. They did a show. Danny went and did a show in Kentucky or something like that, and that's it. And he said, Bob Orton Jr. was on that show. I said, what? I said he don't still have the cast, do you? He said, yep, he's still wearing the cast. I said, no, man, no.
That is too funny, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Boy, I'll crack. Boy, wow, man. If he has an autograph signing anywhere near here, Chris, we got to go. Because I want to see if he's got that cast on, boy. I'm going to laugh my tail off. I'll be like, you're going to have to take a picture with us, man. And I want you to hold up the cast, boy.
That doggone cat, man. He had that thing for about over 30 years.
Heck yeah. Man, that jump was crazy. But I was so mad when he was in the WWE, he was using that cast because it started, he had that cast in Mid-Atlantic. And then because he left Mid-Atlantic, he went up there. And he was still using that cast. I'm like, what is he doing, man? I'm like, I know that dog go harm that hill. He used that cast the whole run in WWE. I'm like, what is happening, man? He's in the World Wrestling Federation. I'm like, what in the world is this guy doing, man? I'm like, that happened a long time ago. And I know a lot of fans up there didn't know he previously had that injury, but I'm pretty sure a lot of fans knew he previously had that injury. Yeah. But I'm like, what in the world is the guy doing? He still got that cast on.
I can't get it right, man. The doctor, my bones, my muscles, everything just still messed up. My arm just won't. I can't get out of it.
Man,
He's like, I tried to do some yard work around the house and messed it up again, man.
He had like Ric Flair put him in the doggone figure 4 leg lock, figure 4 arm lock or something. Put his arm in it and just poke it in all kind of different ways. 4 ways, man. Figure 4 leg, figure 4 arm lock or something. That's the way he acted, man. I'm like, what in the world Rick didn't do to it? He didn't damage that arm that bad, boy. I hope that $50,000 him and Dick Slater collected was worth it then, because Rick messed that arm up, boy. Rick when he got his revenge, he messed him up, and then Bob Orton, and then you gotta wear that thing for the rest of your life. Just how much of that money you done paid your doctor? he got every part of your hand. And then you probably asked Dick Slater, could you borrow the other hand? And my arm still ain't right,
man. But yeah, Stu Hart though, man, he was a serious guy, man, when it came to that wrestling. But he was a serious guy, man.
Yeah, big ups to Stu Hart, man. Yeah, he like say, hey, he raised his kids right, he raised his children right, and they went into the business, and thank God they didn't take it as serious as the Von Erich brothers. As far as the dad, Fritz really pushed his brothers. He really did, and that's all it was. It was wrestling, man. Wrestling was in his blood, and he just, wow, man. kind of like the guy on the not the last Creed movie, but I think part 2 or part 3, whatever. The guy who boxed Rocky, his son, the way he was, it was just poison, man. The way he was pouring it into him. And I remember when Fritz Von Erich, when the Von Erichs was passing, all that stuff was happening, and it'd be right when she was about to divorce Fritz, and she's like, "You pushed them boys too hard." I remember that. I remember when she was saying that back in the 80s and everything. It was, all in the news. Wrestling books, everything. She was giving interviews, and she said he pushed them too hard and everything. I was like, wow. And I was thinking, no, those guys. I'm pretty sure they just wanted to wrestle. That's what I was thinking back then.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, he probably did. And then I see that movie.
Like, that movie, man. He pushed him hard, but he pushed him.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
All right, guys. So our next and last inductee into the Hall of Fame was a celebrity, Bob Uecker, man. Bob Uecker. Yeah, and he was put in by Dick Ebersol. Bob Uecker, for those that don't know, is a professional baseball catcher who primarily broadcasted for the Milwaukee Brewers of the Major League Baseball Association.
You know who Dick Ebersol is, don't you?
Yeah, he was the CEO of NBC at one point in time.
Oh, yeah. So, what do you know about Uecker, man, outside of what you just said?
Outside of Uecker, man, I know that he was in that movie Major League. And that was some classic movies, but when he was a broadcaster for the Cleveland Indians, Willie Mays Hayes, that was played by Wesley Snipes.
I'm gonna tell you his biggest claim to fame, man. Bob Uecker. Now you probably don't remember him back in the 80s because you was a kid. In the 80s,
only remember a handful of people back then, man. A handful of people.
In the 80s, you got to go back. Just pull up. Maybe you probably can pull them up on YouTube. Pull up some of the commercials. People used to come. Bob Uecker be sitting in the. He would go to the baseball games. The team that he played for. And people would just start screaming at me, Uecker, you suck. We can't stand you. Uecker, get out of here. So Uecker would be at the baseball games. They would run him all the way to the back row. Now he did it in that movie too. He said it in the movie. They would put him all the way to the back row, and he would be up there drinking a beer or something like that. And he'd be like, I'm in the best seat of the house. I'm in the front row. He used to do that all the time. That was his claim to fame. Those commercials went on for years, man. But Bob,
and when they were like Miller Lite commercials or something like that.
Yeah. I think it was one of the Miller companies. I couldn't remember which one it was, but yeah, it was Miller Lite. And he'd be like, he'd be drinking a Miller Lite and say, I'm sitting in the front row. He'd be on the back row, and somebody would yell out, "You suck, Uecker!"
Man.
He wasn't a good baseball player, man. He was not a good baseball player, man. Well, I'm just saying, look, compared to the guys, I used to watch a lot of baseball back then. Compared to the guys, the catchers back then, Johnny Bench and people like that was very good. There was a lot of good back catchers. He was okay. He was okay. Bob Uecker I think he was good as far as being at the plate, and he did a lot of good things. He could throw the ball real good. It's just most catchers was power hitters back then. They was good. They was good at. Uecker was not good at the plate. He could not hit the ball. So I think basically they messing with him because he was just not a good baseball player. And everybody had to hit. Even the pitchers had to hit every now and then. But yeah, a lot of people. But I think a lot of people messing with him. But when he became like an announcer and everything, a lot of people start having that love fest with him. But they used what he was as a baseball player. To have those fans to be yelling out to him, "You suck, Uecker! Get on to the back!"
I know his claim to fame in wrestling.
Yeah,
I want to say it was WrestleMania 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
The interview he did with Andre the Giant.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't remember that hair?
I remember, man, but
oh my gosh, he was up there talking about. I think this is when they were doing the tournament, and Savage was going to win the belt from win that tournament, and he was going to beat Ted DiBiase. And Uecker interviewed Andre.
I remember it now.
And and he was like, Andre was like, Hogan, whatever he was saying, talking about Hogan. And he put his hand on Uecker's shoulder. And Yuko's like, hey, Andre, hey, can you take your foot off my shoulder? And he was like, Andre's like, what? Ah! And started choking him.
Yeah.
Him.
Man, look. My
like,
thing about Andre, and I'm gonna tell you, I try to kind of forget a lot of the things that he did after he had lost to Hogan. And as far as that time in his career, a lot of times Andre would, he would be in interviews and things like that. I tried to ignore a lot of those things. I was so sad for Andre.
Mm-hmm.
The state of what his body had, what he had become. His body, what his body was in, the shape he was in and everything. Because the Andre I remember was a killer. The eighth wonder of the world, man. Just big, unstoppable, never lost. And he became that Andre. Now, a lot of it was his own. I know he had that, that disease or whatever. I mean, whatever, that to make him that big, gargantuan. That he had that, but a lot of things he couldn't control. I mean, over drinking, beer. He was a huge beer drinker. A lot of things that he did put himself in that position.
He loved
wine too. Yeah, put him in that position. I mean, he would drink you under the table. And I started learning about things like that back in the day. But I still felt bad for him because, hey, he was one of my heroes, man. Loved Andre the Giant. So a lot of times I remember the Bob Uecker thing, but I used to look at all his interviews, segments, and all those things that was going on back then. But I kind of ignored it a little bit because I was embarrassed by it. I was embarrassed by him. I was embarrassed by the sight of Andre the Giant. I'm like, oh my gosh, because he was the most popular wrestler in the world before Hulk Hogan. Everybody knew who Andre was. Andre didn't even have to be in the WWE. He was that big. He was huge. But all right, man. So we done with that. I guess that class?
Yeah, that was 2010, man. That was 2010, man. Class of 2010.
Okay. All right, man. Dang, boy.
Yeah, but yeah, man. So whew. Yeah, I mean, that is a lot more we got to go too, man. A lot more we got to go. Goodness sake, boy. I ain't thinking about many.
Yeah, it's a lot, Chris. It's a lot. When we got started on this, man, we got 9 likes. We appreciate everybody coming in. Appreciate everybody liking the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Hey, if you Straight Up Wrestling Show over on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. If you over on YouTube, we appreciate the 9 likes already. Hey, go ahead and hit that like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, ding, 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 so you know we're on like times like these, and do the same thing when you see us over on Twitch. And if you over on X, man, hey, we appreciate everybody coming on X, man, following us and watching the show on X. We're really building up a little audience over there too. We definitely appreciate it. Hit that like, share, tweet, and retweet, and tell them what else to do over on X, Chris.
And follow. Please
doubt.
Follow.
Yes. Yes, straight up. Man.
Hey, you want to do another part later on tonight, man? Or you want to do
Well, it's 6:13. If you want to come back on tonight, we can do that. We can come back and do the preview show. We can do we can do the preview show, WrestleMania.
The prediction show. We can come on and do a prediction show. And we can come back on and we can definitely try to finish up because we got, God almighty, I didn't know.
We got a lot of them, man.
It's a lot of years, boy. Whew. Goodness gracious. We in just what, 20, what year we in?
Was that 10 or what? Which one we finished?
We just finished 10, I think.
So we're going to 2011. We got one in
2011. So we got a long way to go, guys. And we're gonna probably be, like I said, we're gonna be back on tonight to do our WrestleMania prediction show.
Okay, what time you want to do that?
I'll talk to you about it after we get off.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in just a moment. But yeah, I'm about to set that up and everything. But yeah, we definitely do that. So won't be no TNA tonight. Somebody asked me, was I doing TNA? But yeah, you don't have TNA, so we can't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do the prediction show straight up. So
yeah, guys.
All right.
So we thank you guys for coming in, man, rocking with us on this episode of the Straight Up Wrestling Show Hall of Fame edition, part 3. And
who's in it? And who should be?
Yeah, who's in it? Who shouldn't be in it? And who should be in it?
Yeah.
And also, we'll be doing the WrestleMania prediction show with part 4 of the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah, so
guys,
we'll be in here rocking. We'll be in here rocking again tonight, guys. So get ready for that. And hey, you'll see here in just a little bit what time we'll be coming back home. But yeah, we're coming back home. We're gonna rock that show out, guys. Straight up.
yeah, definitely. My man HBT, I'm the People's Podcaster, and we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace.